All right, good morning. It is Caucus Day here in America. Christina, Bob, Brian, Glenn, as we're live here in Des Moines, Iowa, inside the Trump War Room, where we're going to kick off today's midday show from here. We've got Vanessa Broussard, who is live at Whiskey River, and that's where Kimberly Guilfoyle and perhaps Don Jr. will be there as well as they make their way into tonight. Of course, it all kicks off at 7 p.m., and we can't be more than happy to be here with you today. We've got some great friends here in the room that are covering this event. Some good pro-Trump support here is what we need here in Iowa. But Christina, welcome to the frigid state of Iowa. You flew in from South Florida. I came in from D.C. and through Detroit, and that was an experience. But we're glad you're here.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be here. I can honestly say I think this is the coldest temperature I've ever been in. I went to Chicago in January once a while ago, and that was pretty cold. But I think when I flew in last night, it was negative 16. Really, really cold. And I was raised in Arizona and now live in South Florida. So this is new.
I don't know if we'll be buying real estate here in this state anytime soon. I feel like we've been here about 21 times.
I will say that, right.
This year I have.
Are paying rent. Yeah. But I will say you got to be tough to be an Iowan because folks that live in these conditions, they know it, and you got to be tough to be an Iowan. Yeah.
And I think on record, this will go down as the coldest caucus that they've had. We're going to get we got a lot to unpack on the next 3 hours. But first, let's talk about one of our partners for today, and that's Tax Network USA. Look, the deadline is passed on taxes, and you're falling behind, whether or not you owe $1,000, $10,000, $100,000. Do not let time expire on you. Guess what? The IRS is not going to let up on coming after people who owe taxes, whether or not you're a Republican or a Democrat.
They're cracking down on it.
Well, they don't care. They want their money, but don't let those tax issues affect you. Go visit our friends over at Tax Network USA. The information for that is on your screen. Protect yourself, protect your family, and they can absolutely do it. They've helped thousands of our viewers, and they want to help you as well. Go check it out. Information for that is on your screen. Take advantage of some of the things that they can do to lower your tax risk and what you have to pay. So go check out our friends over at Tax Network USA. That would be a scary. You know what's scarier than another Biden administration is owing back taxes. That's pretty scary. That's something that would scare the hell out of me. All right. Well, so we're here. We got a lot to unpack. Let's kind of go over how we got here. I mean, after the 2020 election, there was about 38 rallies that President Trump did after the election, up until the point where he said, I'm running for president. We were there at Mar-a-Lago when the announcement was made. So he seems like the campaign trail for President Trump has never ended.
Right. Well, it feels like the 2020 election has never ended. So a large chunk of Americans, depending on which poll you're looking at least a third, and it can go higher from that, believe that Joe Biden was not lawfully elected and that there were problems with the 2020 election. The further away from the 2020 election that we get, the more people start to believe that there was a problem with it and they don't trust it. And so President Trump has been on the campaign trail, whether it was for himself, whether it was for the candidates that he was endorsing in 2022. But this has been something. I mean, today for the caucus, and we can get into the details about the caucus and all of that.
I think it's an excellent point because this is like no other caucus. Like you can't you can look at historical numbers, but you can throw those all out the window because
it's not going to apply today.
It doesn't apply today. Mm-hmm. So I think that 12-point margin that is on the record right now, I believe Bob Dole had that greatest victory back in the day, but that was back in the day.
Right. That was the largest margin that any Republican has won the Iowa caucus by Bob Dole. And since then, it's been much, much closer race. Just looking at the polls, he's up 50 points or something like that. So in order for what that would translate to, we don't know, how it's going to play out because, of course, the weather is a factor. People have to actually show up. So if you are a Trump supporter and you think, oh, he's up so much, you cannot rest on the polls. You have to show up and make your vote known at the caucus. Please show up at your caucus tonight to vote for Donald Trump. But I would expect, him to surpass the 12.8 points of Bob Dole, maybe double it. I'm kind of secretly hoping he can double it. Look at the enthusiasm
level. I think we talked about this before the show. About 89%, 90%, let's just do that, of Trump supporters claim to be very enthusiastic about voting for President Trump. Now, if you look at the numbers for Nikki Haley, and you've got those, why don't you go ahead? I mean, now you're talking about 20% for the other candidates. So the enthusiasm level for a Nikki Haley or DeSantis is not as high as it would be for President Trump.
That's right. President Trump has a much higher, like you said, 88, 89%, very enthusiastic. So these are people these are Iowans who are saying they are going to caucus for Donald Trump. And 89-ish% of them are very enthusiastic about supporting him.
Which means they'll go through the cold. Is what I'm getting
they're not going to be afraid of the
Right.
weather. And then for Haley, we've got her enthusiasm is at 39%. Are very enthusiastic. Her supporters, these are people who are saying they're caucusing for Nikki Haley, and they're very supportive. That's 39%. Ron DeSantis is 23 points greater than Nikki Haley on the enthusiasm factor. So he has a much higher enthusiasm number in his base, which means he probably has a better chance of edging out Nikki Haley for coming in second, which you still lose if you come in second. But anyway, so I would suspect based on that Ron DeSantis would probably outperform Nikki Haley today, but both of them are significantly behind Donald Trump.
Yeah, I agree. And also what I saw on the news just the other day was Democrats and independents were urging people to vote for Haley just to try and block President Trump from getting a certain percentage. Now, I was watching Fox News this morning. I was watching, so you don't have to. And Karl Rove and some other guys were on
Oh, goodness.
It was just something else. Their panel,
Brian,
their
you took
panel
one
of
for
experts.
the team today.
Yeah, I took one for the team today. Their panel of experts was something to be questioned, but they did say this, that if he gets 50 plus 1% of the vote, then you can only assume if you add up everyone else, their totals together, that President Trump has the majority. So if President Trump comes in at 47, 46, 48, their argument will be that more people combined voted. There's more people who want somebody else other than President Trump. So they did say that if he does get 50 plus 1 and has a majority, that you can assume that that's the way it's going to go the rest of the
for the primaries.
For the primaries.
And I think that's right. That has never happened in an Iowa caucus before. No Republican has gotten over 50% of the vote at a caucus. So Karl Rove and the rest of them can, pontificate about what getting less than 50% means. The reality is that's the norm. That's what happens every year. That is what has happened every election cycle, every caucus for Iowa. But as you mentioned, this year it goes out the window. I do think Donald Trump has the possibility of breaking that record and possibly getting over 50%. We'll see. But don't be swayed if they say, oh, well, but he didn't get over 50. No one has ever gotten over 50.
Good point. And if you look at Iowa, and I wish we had graphics on this, and tonight we're going to have an amazing kind of a graphics display of some of this stuff I'm talking about. But the northwest of the state, there's a couple counties, one in particular, and I'll get the name of the county. It slips my mind at the moment, that is called this caucus for a very long time. So if you win that county, historically, you've won, just like President Trump.
The bellwether counties.
The bellwether counties. Just like President Trump, if you win Ohio and you win Florida, you go on to win the election, except not
unless you're Donald Trump.
Unless you're the 2020 election, and then, of course, that
none
goes
of
anyway.
those rules apply.
So there's some counties in the state that are very pivotal in regards to that. And if you look on the east side of the state, up and down the Mississippi River, those counties tend to be a little bit more on the independent side. And so those are the voters, I think, that could sway away from a traditional Democrat candidate into a Donald Trump.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be picked up there.
Yeah.
I do think it's worth pointing out, just for folks who don't necessarily know what a caucus is or how it all works, for the Republican caucus, you have to be a registered Republican. Now, Iowa does have same-day registration for your party. So you can show up and register. Of course, you have all the same requirements, have to be over the age of 18, U.S. citizen, and all of that. So this is a Republican caucus. It will be interesting to see if people try to switch parties to to throw
Like
up
we
the
said,
numbers.
this is 2024, and then, I think
All expectations are out the window.
honestly, like it seems like all the historical factors are just gone. Like
Can't trust them anymore.
you put the name Trump in there, and everything just kind of goes a different direction. But we're glad you're joining us. The caucus is tonight, so obviously, if you live in Iowa, you know what to do. They did say though, get there at 6:30.
Yeah, get there no later than 6:30.
Yeah,
it
because
starts at 7.
Yeah, it starts at 7. And as far as I know, like doors are closed, starts at 7. We're doing this thing. I like that. And this is interesting about the caucus as well that I did not know. The GOP runs it. Like it's not like there's not an election commission in Iowa.
It's a party event.
It's a party event, and it is paper ballots, which is nice. It is,
and it's counted there on the spot in front of all the caucus members.
right. So we count
Imagine
the ballots, and we say, okay, Trump, DeSantis, Trump. I mean,
They do it all in front of everybody.
That's the way it should be done. So there's no funny business there. So I think that's really interesting to point out that they will count. If I don't think I thought I saw a number of about 137,000 people typically caucus. Okay. I actually think it's going to be higher. Of course, some of the pundits on Fox News thought it would be lower because they said generally at this time there's more people in this Iowa caucus, more candidates. If you look at last time, there's like 19 candidates. Those people bring out all of their supporters. So you have 19 candidates bringing out supporters.
Yeah.
Being that there's only about 3 or 4 now, they think it's going to be a less on the lower side of what's typically. I think the opposite. I think it's the higher side. I think Trump brings them out tenfold. And I think you're gonna beat that 137,000.
I think that's a good point to make. I also think it could be Joe Biden bringing Republicans out to vote. I think there could be a lot of people who.
So he's responsible for the high turnout, right?
I mean, don't get me wrong. I think President Trump obviously draws a lot of people. He draws more people than any politician probably in American history. But I think at this point, people who did not support Donald Trump in 2020. Are looking at what's happening in this current administration going, well, I definitely don't support that. And I think that there's both a push-pull factor, you know, and I do think what's happening in the country today and with schools, we're seeing a lot of typically demographic, the demographics that normally go for Democrats, we're seeing that shift for Republicans, specifically for Trump, not even necessarily for Republicans, but they're shifting for Trump. And so I think people who wouldn't normally come out, they wouldn't normally come out, are coming out because they're so frustrated and they're so angry with how things are being run and how they're feeling the pain. I think that's driving people out. That may not be as big of a factor here in Iowa because I was already a pretty conservative state, but I do think it will play some factor.
That's a great point. And then, of course, the rally or the speech rally yesterday in Indianola was at Simpson College. Okay. The last time that Trump was at a university was the University of New Hampshire, and they were closed for the Christmas break. So there was no students on campus. This time, there are students in school. And what I noticed was a lot of young people there at this speech. It was quite noticeable that there were a lot of college students there yesterday. Matter of fact, we had 3 protesters that broke. And that was the first time I've ever seen protesters at a Trump event. True protesters. They busted out with a climate change banner and they were waving it around. They got escorted out as they probably should be. But I did notice young people. Then afterwards, I went to Zombie Burger, which is a place here in downtown Des Moines, and I noticed a lot of young people there in line talking about the rally they just attended.
That's really cool.
And they were talking, it was cool, but they weren't really talking favorably of what they saw. Because they would say, I'll give you a great example. They would say, I can't believe people cheered when President Trump said, "Hello, Iowa." And then people cheer. They're like, he just said, "Hello, Iowa." He didn't say anything of any substance. It was that kind of criticism that I would expect from these booger eater kids out there that are basically, getting their education from the University of TikTok and the College of Instagram.
Now, Brian,
I know,
so
but that's the problem with they know everything. You're right.
They know everything.
But I guess my point being, will we see more younger people in this election? Absolutely. Do I think it's critical for the Trump team to bring in that younger voter? Absolutely.
I think it's interesting that they couldn't understand why people were cheering when he said "Hello, Iowa."
Correct.
Because the reason they're cheering is because they're proud to be from Iowa. And they're proud of who they are. They're proud that he's in their state. They're proud to be there with him in Iowa. And this is, and I don't want to blame the whole generation, because I know there's a lot of really great young, in the younger generation, there's a lot of really great folks out there. But for the ones like that, it's because they've been indoctrinated with this theology of shame.
Right.
And shame. And don't be proud of who you are. Don't be proud to be American. Don't be proud of who you're president. Don't be proud. Don't be proud. Don't be proud. And it's a self-loathing and shame that is un-American. It's untrue, quite frankly. It's untrue for the Iowans. It's untrue for these students. But they just buy into this idea that we can't love who we are, where we're from, and that our president came to speak to us. Because if they understood that, they would have cheered too. They weren't necessarily even cheering for Trump. They were cheering because they were all together and excited about the rally.
Yeah, and I think also, this is the first time a lot of these kids have had the opportunity to see President Trump. And a lot of people will go to a rally. They'll stay for 20 minutes. You've seen this. Yeah. They'll go in and they'll just leave because they just wanted to say they saw him in person. It's not really wanting to get policy information as it is to say we saw President Trump. Pause that real quick. Let's talk about the freetrumpbook.com. Look, let me tell you something. I said this 1,000 times. Your kids are not going to learn the accomplishments of President Trump in school. They're not going to learn about it in school and in the history books. Not yet. Maybe 30 years from now they will, but not right now. They're likely getting their thoughts from the University of TikTok and the College of Instagram and the University of Facebook, which will mislead them. This Trump book is amazing. It lays out the top accomplishments from President Trump. Former Governor Mike Huckabee designed this book. Perfect for kids, a kid's guide to President Trump. Go check it out. Use the promo code in there, RSBN. You do pay a slight fee for shipping and handling, but that's to be expected. But better yet, get the knowledge about President Trump and what he did in office. Do not let culture, do not let social media, do not let the teachers in school mislead your kids. freetrumpbook.com, freetrumpbook.com. Great partner for today. Now, going back on that is I think it's vital for these kids to hear, really anyone that is very critical of President Trump, go to a rally.
Yeah.
Listen to what they have to say. And you and I sit next to the CNNs of the world, the MSNBCs of the world, and I'm not calling them out. I'm just saying in general. And it seems like half the time they don't actually report what he says that gets the crowd fired up.
Right.
They report some of the funnier things that he might say, off the cuff kind of stuff.
Yeah. But they're in a derogatory manner.
Not necessarily the sincerity that he wants to make this country better, and this is how I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I think that's right. And it's funny whenever these people come up with their own set of ethical standards, which I think is funny. And they say, "Oh, I reported the truth. This is what he said," and they'll get the quote correct, but they miss the spirit with which it's said in the group with which it's said, and they say it in a way to make it sound bad and derogatory, make it sound as if his supporters are bad and derogatory, when in fact that's not actually what happened in the event. And I was with you in one of the recent New Hampshire rallies, and there were a lot of kids there, even though they were out for Christmas break.
Right.
There were a lot of young kids there that seemed to be very supportive and interested. So while, yes, there certainly is this big demographic of kids that have been indoctrinated with the woke agenda of college, I think there's a lot that aren't buying it, really. I think they're pushing back, and it's really funny. I just think it's so funny that, conservative Christian values today are now the anti-establishment group. So if you want to rebel, if you want to be, which every college student does, every kid, 18, whatever, to 25 does, if you want to rebel, you support conservative Christian, Judeo-Christian values, and that's how you become anti-establishment. I just think it's really funny how it's come so full circle that to be a rebel, you need to be conservative in your viewpoints.
I think it's funny. Let's talk about music for a second. Green Day came out and kind of demonized Trump supporters and Trump America. I said this from day one. President Trump is more punk rock than you know it. punk rock is about going against the establishment,
Yeah.
going against the government, going against big corporations, going against the elite class. That's what punk rock is. And President Trump has done that from day one. But I think it's incredible how the very people that sing about fighting the corruption, fighting the government, and doing all these things have been brainwashed to hate this man for whatever reason, when they quite honestly identify with President Trump's agenda and his vision to go against the corruption in our government, to go against the elite that run the establishment and run the corporations and the greed. It's just they've completely missed the mark. And I think it's so funny when you see a band like Green Day or any one of these, rock bands.
Rage Against the Machine.
Rage Against the Machine.
The name is Rage Against the Machine, and then they require you to show proof of vaccine to get into their concert.
Yes, that's a great point.
This was back from the COVID days. I don't know if they do that recently, but it's like the name of your band is Rage Against the Machine.
The name of your band is Rage Against the Machine, but yet you
demand that they capitulate to the machine.
I don't understand. It's a clown show out there, and I think it's taken 2 or 3 years to kind of get all this out. But I think people are now seeing it. I mean, I think that's due to social media. We've got some great influencers that have shows that kind of call this stuff out and put it into the mainstream narrative. But it's really amazing, and to think that the modern day feminist, feminists will back the idea of putting men in women's sports. Like, for whatever reason, they get on that school bus of victimhood and they want people to come on board. That feminist. What happened to the modern day feminists? I tell you who they are right now. There are people like Marjorie Taylor Greene. There are people like women in Congress, strong conservative women that actually stand up for women's rights, not trying to muddy them down with men and some loosey-goosey, standards.
Well, I think it comes down to identity politics.
Yeah.
Right? And so much of what the left is doing is it's so divisive because it's all about identity politics. And you can't be a feminist because you're a man. Well, I can't be a feminist even though I'm a woman because I'm conservative. Or, it's all about division and divisiveness. And so feminists have taken on this, what I honestly think is probably a really small section of society to raise this crazy banner that they now have, when in reality, what in theory, in actual language, what feminist is supposed to do is like what you're talking about with Carrie Lake and Marjorie Taylor Greene and a lot of these strong women they're not going out burning bras saying I'm a feminist. They're just doing good work.
Is that what they did back in the day? Burn bras?
Yeah.
Did they? I didn't know.
Yes.
Oh, that's incredible.
That was one of the first.
That's funny.
Did I just make that up?
No,
I
don't think you made it up, but I just think it's funny if that's what they did. I'm going to go burn my bra for women's rights.
I swear.
Well, how about I'm going to grow hair on my legs and my armpits and things like
that's
that?
True.
Okay.
No, but I'm pretty sure they burn bras too.
Well, it's kind of funny because I remember talking about, and I don't know if I should say this now because this Newsweek got all over this, but just how, let's not go there. Okay, so I love the point that everything is what's good is evil, what's evil is good, wrong's right.
Yeah.
It's all flipped upside down.
It's all flipped upside down. And the point is, quoting scripture, you will know them by their fruit. So if you want to know who really is fighting for women's rights, look at the people who are advancing the cause of women.
Yeah,
and they're not the people that are out there saying, I'm advancing the cause for women. They're the people who are actually the Riley Gaineses of the world, who are actually working to make sure that women have freedoms.
This is so much fun. Look at the people in front of the White House 2 nights ago that was hurling bloody little baby dolls over the fence, calling them, Genocide Joe must go. Thousands of people gathered in front of the White House. Obviously, some of the staff, some of the media in the White House was brought to another location. Now, for the record, if I was in the White House grounds and those clowns came to the fence wanting to threaten and get in, I say open up the gates and let them in, because I am not scared of any of these people out there protesting. But my point being, Joe Biden is losing a good percentage of voters that would have voted for him because of this conflict in the Middle East.
Well, that's the problem with this woke indoctrination is they're never satisfied. It's all consuming. They never get to the point where they go, okay, good, now we can have peace. It's always, I need more, you need to do more, you need to do this for me. There's no identifiable goal or endpoint. They just want control, and they demand that you capitulate and bow to them. And they will even do it to the president of the United States. That's why these politicians, thank God for folks like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who are saying, I will not capitulate, I will not bow, I will not become subservient just because the woke mob demands it. Because there will never be enough. There will never come a time where they're satisfied, and they will eventually devour you. So these weak politicians that are capitulating and cowering to them, thinking, okay, well, if I just do this, they'll leave me alone. No, they will not. Yeah. They will double down. They'll come after you further. They'll come after, and that's we're seeing the problems that we have today is because so many people have tried to pacify it by agreeing with them. There's no agreement with these people. These people, the only thing they want is control, and if you give them a little bit, they want more.
And I blame Republicans for a year because we've allowed the left to push us back little by little, and we have not fought back on these cultural issues. So now we're in a point where we have to swing as hard as we can, figuratively, towards that and push it back. So it's Republicans' fault. It's the whole Bush era. It's these spineless people that won't punch back on social issues. And if you're a Republican right now and you're not on the record for Protect Children's Innocence Act, which makes it a felony to perform gender-affirming care on a minor, that is a double mastectomy, that's castration, that's puberty blockers, that's all of these chemical treatments that kids are getting. If you don't push back on that, I'm telling you something. I think their constituents, and there's two things that President Trump gets the most applause at his rally. Two things: parental rights for your kids. Okay. Number two is this whole transitioning topic. So people like Ken Buck, people like Bob Good, people like let me see. Do I want to name some names right here? We'll do that in the second hour. If they don't come out and push back on this stuff, you are going to see a major change in 2024, because that's what their constituents want, and the time of hiding behind your votes are over. That is over.
They're not only hiding behind the votes, which I think is true, but they're hiding behind misinformation and an uninformed public. Most Americans, particularly conservatives, don't pay attention to the government. They're about living their lives. They're going to work. They're building a business. They're farming. They're going to church. They're raising children. They're doing everything else. They haven't had to focus on government. But government has gotten so crazy and so out of line and so at odds with our American values that everyday Americans who weren't paying attention before now have to pay attention. And they're looking at how their members of Congress and their state leaders are voting because it's so significant. They say, I can't afford to not look at this anymore. So when you've got these woke Republicans like Lankford in Oklahoma, who's willing,
I would be willing to bet that Lankford's, that state, if you polled and you'd say a show of hands,
get rid of Lankford.
Well, they don't like what he's doing, for one thing. I mean, that's
not
the
Republican.
Thing.
He's partnering with Schumer. Chuck Schumer, Democrats.
Okay, we're 2 minutes away. We're going to toss over to Whiskey River here in about 2 minutes. Vanessa Broussard is live there at a Kimberly Guilfoyle event. We'll have live coverage there. If you're just now tuning in, Brian Glenn, Christina Bob live here in the Trump War Room. I love it. We've got a great crowd here. We've got great friendly media. I love being around. I'm usually working next to Dennis Snakes. I usually have the Dennis Snakes around me, and I love the fact that these guys over there are great, and so I love it. But we're 2 minutes away from that. Don't forget to definitely subscribe to our newsletter. Don't forget to download our app. That is one great way to stay in touch with all this stuff going on, because tomorrow we shift our attention to New Hampshire, where Matthew Alvarez
Fantastic.
will be in. I think I'm just going to move Matthew Alvarez directly to New Hampshire. He's going to be up there.
He's kind of up there already.
He's up there already. Why not? He's up there in that neck of the woods. It's a little bit longer of a trip for us. I'll be out there, I believe, on the weekend. So I think the Friday, Saturday, Sunday stuff, I'll be there towards election night. So we've got a bunch of stuff planned. We're so glad you're joining us. Yes, if you're just now tuning in, it's cold outside. I think this morning it was -10, wind chill somewhere in the -20, 30. Who cares? At that point, It doesn't matter. It's just cold.
It's awful.
But we're glad that you're joining us
God
here.
bless Iowans.
God bless people in Iowa. And you know what? I don't think that we said this at the top of the show. We can kind of recap this later. I don't think this is going to slow people down
Not
at
for a
all.
second. Not the Trump supporters.
Even where Vanessa's at right now, we had a live show there. I believe was it yesterday, the night before, at Whiskey River. Here's a night where it was blush. I mean, the wind was still blowing. It was snowing. It was cold, and there were still people going into a bar.
That's like
watching football.
Iowans know how to live like this. I don't.
I know right now.
I would be hunkered down and be like, I will see you in April. But like, they still go live their lives.
My house in
Good on
Dallas
you.
right now is, we've lost some power at times. My pool's frozen over. I've lost all things like that. I can't deal with it, but they can here. We're going to toss to Vanessa Broussard, who is live at Whiskey River. Vanessa, what's going on?
Iowa. That's just outside of Des Moines. It is a cool -1 degrees out here. Look at the snow on the ground. This is what people are going to have to go through, walk through, drive through just to get to their caucus location tonight at 7 p.m. But that's okay. If yesterday was any indication of what people will go through to get their votes heard, they will do it. It was a packed house yesterday in Des Moines with President Trump. The people stood in -degree temperatures for hours on end just to wait to get inside where the warmth was to see President Trump. Again, it was a packed house, so that gave the president and also his campaign the incentive to say, we're rocking and rolling here in Iowa today. So I'm going to step into this snow and walk into Whiskey River here in Ankeny and show you this is where people are meeting today, having lunch right now. It is lunch hour, and this is where they're starting to come and have lunch and get their day really started. A little later, right next door, we'll have Donald Trump Jr. and Kimberly Guilfoyle. They'll have a pep rally of sorts, an event next door at the event center from Whiskey River. And the people are already showing up. People are coming in right now. I'm here with Whiskey River owner Joe. So good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you too.
So you're here. You're a business owner. People come in every single day talking about the Iowa caucus. The countdown has been on. Today's the day. How are you feeling about the momentum going into this campaign?
I'm feeling good, but obviously there's a final push to making sure that we get everybody out to caucus for Donald Trump and making sure that they cast that vote for him.
And you're a caucus captain, right?
Yes, I am.
So explain the important role of a caucus captain and what you'll be doing tonight, and also what you've been doing in the weeks leading up to tonight.
Well, it's my job to make sure that I project the differences between the candidates and Donald Trump and how he does separate himself from them, and making sure that, if they're on the fence or, they're going to vote for one of the other candidates, that they come to my side and vote for Donald Trump.
Are you seeing a lot of enthusiasm this election cycle for the former president?
Yes. And I think that there's enthusiasm all the way around. My only concern would be I know a lot of Democrats that are planning on coming out and casting their votes for Haley, which I think is wrong. But
it's part of the process.
Yeah, their exact words, though, were we want to be spoilers, and that's just not right. So we need to get our legislation here in Iowa to change how we do caucus so that cannot happen.
Well, are they registered Democrats or are they registered Republicans? If they're registered Democrats, they can't vote tonight.
No, they can vote, actually. Yeah.
Okay.
So if they're registered Democrats, they can change their registration at the registration desk, cast their vote, and then leave. So,
it's a little sneaky.
Yeah, pretty much. So we need to make sure that all the Trump supporters come out strong and come out and actually vote for him. And anybody who is on the fence, that they really see the real difference between Donald Trump and the rest of the candidates.
And so, again, Donald Trump, we look at the polls, and in Iowa he's doing really well, but he has been very vocal about don't look at the polls, don't get complacent, don't get comfortable, still come out and caucus tonight. What is your message to the people watching right now to no matter the weather conditions, come out and caucus?
Yeah, I agree with him. People will tend to think that their vote doesn't matter, but in the caucus it's more important than ever because that vote does matter. and obviously with our delegates for the state and so on, and how much he wins by margin wise is very important for a victory for Donald Trump. He's very much right on making sure that everybody does come out and stop looking at the poll numbers. And, you want to be the underdog and come in and sweep it. That's what you want, and that's what he needs to do.
And we have good faith that tonight's going to be a wonderful turnout. Let's talk about the event here today with Kimberly Guilfoyle and Donald Trump Jr. They'll be right next door. Tell me about what's going to take place tonight.
I actually haven't been filled in too much with the details. I know he's coming here to this actually is my caucus location in my precinct. So that'll be, super helpful and nice to have the support of the Trump team behind me when they get here.
And where will you be tonight at 7 o'clock?
Oh, I will be in the Caucus Center getting people registered and making sure that they vote for Donald Trump.
There you go. Joe, the owner of Whiskey River, so glad to see you. And also, thank you for letting us be here today.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Okay, I'm going to take a look around the restaurant. If you'll follow me, people are starting to eat lunch, as I mentioned earlier. They're expecting a big crowd today, not just because of Caucus, but because it's also Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So a lot of people are off of school, they're out of work, and so the manager here today told me that this is going to be a packed house. I did see a couple here from Indianola earlier. I'm not seeing them right now, but I wanted to interview them. They came in all of their Trump gear, ready to caucus for tonight. But we're going to show you just a look around this venue. They were gracious a couple of nights ago and report to you when events started being canceled. Whiskey River said, come on in, we'll take you, Brightside Broadcasting Network. So they were very welcoming. There's the couple I was looking for from Indianola. So good to see you. I'm going to walk around here. How are you doing? I love your gear.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I'm a big Trump fan, as you can tell.
Yes. So tell us what is so important about tonight.
Tonight is we need to show everybody how Trump is wanted back in this country as the president, that only when he was president did this country thrive.
And are you seeing a lot of momentum from your neighbors and your community over in Indianola?
We were at the rally in Indianola yesterday, and there was like 2,000 people between the ones that were in the room with them, and then they had an overflow room.
And doesn't that make you feel good? Because there was some concern that maybe there wouldn't be a huge turnout because of the winter conditions we're seeing, but we saw what happened yesterday, and so we're hoping for a great turnout tonight as well.
Absolutely. We need it, and we want everybody out there, and I understand some of the real elderly. I mean, it is dangerous. But you know what? I think everybody else is going to come out. I think everybody else is going to caucus for him, and we just need him. We need every vote. We need every caucus vote. And it's important to save this country.
It really is. How are you feeling today?
Good. Just hopeful that people will turn out and vote for Trump. So that's what we need.
So what are your plans from eating lunch here? Then what comes next?
We're going to see Kimberly and Donald Trump Jr.
There you go.
He's the only one I haven't seen. I've seen Eric and I've seen Laura, and he's the only one I haven't seen.
All right. Well, he's a firecracker, just like his dad. He was named right.
Oh, yes, he was. Yes, he was.
Hey, thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you tonight at the caucus.
Yes, we will.
All right. We want to thank some of our sponsors today for allowing us to be here. Pure Talk does social engineering from leftist corporations, make you feel like you're living in the twilight zone. Well, you're not alone. Pure Talk, America's wireless company, knows the silent majority is fed up. We are not silent anymore. So stand with a company who champions your values. Values like always having your neighbor's back, pulling yourself up by the bootstraps, that is, and believing that elbow grease and hard work can solve almost any problem. Pure Talk is for you. Join the masses who have fled their old wireless company. I know it's hard to do, but Pure Talk is the way to go. It's something better for you. Pure Talk gives you phenomenal coverage on America's most dependable 5G network. There you go, for half the price. We all want to save money. It's half the price of the other guys, with unlimited plans starting at just $20 a month. the average family saves almost $1,000 a year. So go with Pure Talk. That number is on your screen, 844-8-PURE-TALK. That's 844-8-PURE-TALK. Get 50% off your first month if you call that number right now with Pure Talk. Okay, that'll do it for us here right now. We're going to walk around, meet some more people who are ready to caucus for tonight. In the meantime, I'm Vanessa Broussard, tossing it back over to Brian and Christina.
Vanessa Broussard looking great out there, and you got to love it that she kicked off that segment standing out in the snow. Shout out to Alex on camera as well, as I know it was cold, but that was a great look.
It was a great shot. Very good job, Vanessa. It looked really good, and it gave people a good idea of what was going on outside as well as inside the bar.
Yeah, hopefully she has a chance to sit down, get warm, drink some hot cocoa, and get some food in her. But we'll come back to Vanessa here in a little bit. But meanwhile, Christina, Bob, and myself are here in the Trump War Room. This is kind of cool. A nice little place that we're going to set up here tonight. Now, Vanessa will be down in the Trump watch party.
She'll be in the hustle and bustle of the party.
I was told is beautiful. They have really scaled that out, that watch party. So I look forward to seeing what that looks like tonight. And that's going to kick off at 6 p.m. Central tonight. And, of course, you can join us across all the platforms. But if you're new to a caucus, and people say, well, what is a caucus? Is it an election? Is it just a normal election? Well, it's kind of yes and no, and let's kind of go over exactly what a caucus is.
So as you mentioned in the last time we were on, it's run by the party. It's run by the GOP. It's not run by the state. It's not a true state-run type primary or state-run election. It's run by the party, and the party holds the caucus, and you are assigned a district or a precinct. It could be a school, it could be a church, just like a primary where you go to vote. You might go to your neighbor's house, wherever it is, and you're there for the caucus. It starts at 7 p.m. Please get there by 6:30 to make sure you make it in and you're able to be part of it. And then the different candidates have caucus captains. So President Trump has the Trump caucus captain, and that person speaks on behalf of that candidate and argues to the group who they should vote for. And then Nikki Haley will have that, Ron DeSantis will have that, and the caucus captains argue to everybody there, and it's discourse. People can ask questions. It goes back and forth. It's a little rowdy. It's not like a primary where everything's private and hidden, and they kind of debate over who the candidate should be, and then they hold a vote. Everybody writes in on paper ballots who they want to vote for, and then the votes are counted open in front of everybody. Everybody gets to see the results as they're being tallied. So that's how a caucus works.
I love it. And, of course, we don't know when that will conclude. I mean, I was talking to some people. Historically, you might be looking at around 8:30, 9-ish by the time they count up all 99 counties in Iowa.
Right. In 2016, when they called it for Ted Cruz, it wrapped up at 9:30. Oh, okay. So you can expect about 2.5 hours.
Okay, 2.5 hours in that. So, but you'll have an accurate measure of who they voted for because it's all paper, hand counted, in person, things like that. I love it, and of course, historically, whoever. But then in the end, let's go back. You can look at history. And history really doesn't matter when it comes to this particular caucus because it's Ted Cruz ended up kind of fading out towards the end of the thing. I mean, it doesn't really matter. But I think this one's very, very much different than any other caucus we've had before.
Oh, you mentioned it. I mean, the rule books are, the trajectory, the normal trajectory is out the window for this.
Well, think about this for a second. And this is something I want to talk about, the media. I have it in my little rundown to talk about. And we can talk about the media, but real quickly, I noticed last night in Indianola more international media than I've seen before. The 37, 39 rallies that President Trump had after the election, you didn't see any international media there. They were they're gone. Going up to 2020, you saw them towards the end. I'm talking everybody around the world was there covering it.
Of course.
I saw them there last night.
That's
and
interesting.
It's interesting.
That's very interesting.
A Danish publication. I spoke to them for a few minutes about the rally and what I saw and who we were. And I noticed walking in, there was a German broadcaster out on the street by the snow, kind of doing a
Wow.
live shot. They're paying attention to this. And if you think that any of these foreign media companies are in favor of President Trump, you might want to think again. They are not.
Well, it's just the media
Overwhelmingly not.
establishment
Right.
as a whole. Yeah, I mean, media really has taken over control here in the United States as well as elsewhere. The narrative. I mean, they control the narrative, and it's a matter of control. It's an issue of control. And I think it's really interesting that so many international outlets have come out this early.
This
I mean,
early.
we're very, very early in the process because this election has international consequences.
Yep.
Yes, it's an American election, but it really does have ramifications for every nation on the planet. It comes down to, can we be a people that we govern ourselves? Can we be a self-governed people? Does democracy truly exist? Can it survive? And the world is watching. They want to know, because there's people all over the world in states that are also in limbo. States, I mean countries, that are in limbo over whether the people are going to be able to control their governments or not. And we have this globalist attempt of trying to consolidate global power amongst a few. And that's what President Trump is so ardently fighting against. And people want to know if he'll be successful.
It's a Stop Trump campaign is what it is. It's a worldwide Stop Trump campaign, and it's going to get worse. I mean, we're in January. We're in the Iowa caucus. We're not even down in summer yet. So it's going to get worse. But we're steadfast as a network to keep covering this, and we don't miss anything. We don't miss a single Trump speech, rally, event, lawsuit. If we're able to go to a courtroom, we're going to go. You've
been all over the place.
Some of the best times I've had, and I tell you, they were two very memorable moments in my right side history. One of them is on he was at the Joint Base Andrews on his last day in office when he was flying out on Air Force One to go back to Florida.
Right.
Very emotional day. It was after the election. Everyone was very defeated because we had the January 6th. It was just a bad moment. It just didn't feel good
it
at all.
wasn't right. It was unjust.
It was unjust. Moment number one. Moment number two, and is one of those things where you see the momentum shift, and you see President Trump embrace the support of people. And I was in the motorcade going to the Atlanta jail.
Oh.
Okay, not the courthouse, the jail.
For the mugshot.
For the mugshot. Because you're in the motor, you see all the people in the neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Did I see hostile people out there? Nope. I saw cheers. I saw in support of the president. Something when we the jail and you saw what would look like a prison. It's a jail.
It is a prison.
It is essentially a prison. At that point, I got a little emotional because it became real. We saw him get on Inauguration Day for Joe Biden leaving office final for the first time, and then I saw the president going into a jail, and it just full circle came together, and it's something I'll never forget. So we're here, and I guess what I'm trying to wrap it up is we are committed to make sure that we follow this journey that we're on with the American people, with the MAGA movement. It's something that Joe Seals and his family and his support staff there from day one. There were people that worked for Right Side on day one that are no longer there, but they were a big part of why we're here today.
Yep.
And we will continue to do that. But those are two memories that have really stuck out to me.
Well, and I think it's so interesting your memory about going to the Fon County Jail, and everybody. As we mentioned earlier in the show, a lot of Americans have questions about 2020, and a lot of Americans question the legality of the 2020 election. And never in American history have we prosecuted a president for something that they did while in office, which
Correct.
should be covered by presidential immunity, which we'll find out about soon. But specifically your memory about Fulton County Jail, and you've got the DA, the Fulton County DA, Fanny Willis, sending the President of the United States, someone who many Americans hold very reverential, in honor, and then she herself is very much, it appears, guilty of some level of misconduct, whether it's an ethical violation, a simple moral violation, potentially a legal violation, of paying her boyfriend well over $500,000 for legal services for the purpose of prosecuting the president when he's unqualified. He doesn't have the qualifications to be the prosecutor in that case. And then he pays for lavish vacations for the two of them.
And also submits a bill, an invoice for working 24 hours in one day. So he worked a full 24 hours.
He's a really hard worker.
In one day. He's a very hard worker. Also, if you look at the description of what Fanny Willis is supposed to do, is provide impartial prosecution of people. Well, obviously, she has shown that she is not a fan of President Trump historically. Yep. So that's been violated. Being fiscally responsible, not profiting, not wagering irresponsibly money and finances to investigations. Well, we've seen that not be the case. So Fanny Willis, in my opinion, the basis of all of this is absolutely the wheels are coming off the bus here, and I think it's only a matter of time. But you must see Georgia officials, and Governor Kemp. You must see other ones. You've got people in positions of power need to come down on this.
That's exactly right, and I'm so glad you said that. Christopher Carr is the Republican Attorney General of the state of Florida.
Correct.
If he has come out and made a statement about this, I'm not aware of it. But he is the Republican Attorney General, and it is his responsibility to make sure that the district attorneys in the state of Georgia are following the law, and that you don't have a rogue district attorney somewhere running off, doing something crazy, doing something unethical, doing something illegal. And what it appears, of course, there needs to be an investigation, but it appears that Fanny Willis is doing all of that. Mm-hmm. And where is Christopher Carr on this position? He needs to come out and say, we're going to investigate Fanny Willis. We're going to take a look at this. But you know why he doesn't come out? Because if they open an investigation into Fanny Willis, it will slow down President Trump's case, and it will cause delay in President Trump's case. And so now, and if I could just point this out real fast.
Go ahead.
So the reason the revelation, or how it came about that everybody is now aware of Fanny Willis's affair with her boyfriend, allegedly. Okay. And when I say affair, I don't mean marital. I believe they're both divorced. But it was Mike Roman. Mike Roman is one of the co-defendants in President Trump's case, whose attorney put that in the filing, and now everyone's aware of it. Mm-hmm. You know what Mike Roman is accused of in the indictment? Sharing a phone number. Somebody asked him, said, do you have this person's phone number? And he said, yeah, sure. And he gave it to him. And now he's a co-conspirator because he shared a phone number with someone. So that's the defendant who's being charged with RICO by Fanny Willis. All the while, Fanny Willis is going around receiving what appears to be kickbacks in the way of her boyfriend paying for lavish vacations that she then authorized the state of Georgia or the county of Fulton to pay him, while they're prosecuting Mike Roman for sharing a phone number.
Yeah, I want you guys to really pay attention here, because now the ball is in Carr and Kemp's court here. Those are the two individuals that can make sure that anyone who has violated ethics or violated the law or weaponized their position are held accountable. Those are two individuals that can certainly do that. I have not seen any public statement, unless you have.
Well, I saw a public statement by Brian Kemp saying, we follow the Constitution here. No one's above all. The standard talking points of why they're allowing this gross miscarriage of justice to take place. So Brian Kemp seems to be firmly on the side of Jack Smith and Fanny Willis. Okay. Christopher Carr, from what I can tell, I don't know if he's come out and made any other public statements. I have not seen public statements coming out from him. So he seems to be hiding.
We'll see how this plays
Why are
out.
you in office if you're hiding? You were elected to make the hard calls. You were elected to do the difficult investigations. Christopher, if you are a Georgia voter, email and call Christopher Carr's office right now and tell him that you expect him to do an investigation into Fanny Willis and to make sure that they're not allowing a rogue miscarriage of justice in the state of Georgia, because that is Christopher Carr's responsibility.
There you go. All right, let's transition and talk about our friends over at the Birch Gold Group. It's like, Brian, why do we keep talking about Birch Gold? Why do we keep talking about how to transition your traditional IRA into a gold-backed IRA? Well, one of the reasons why I do it is because we don't know what the market's going to do. Yeah, historically, the stock market has done pretty well. Some at least highs as far as stocks in the Dow and the averages, the indexes have gone pretty high. But on the flip side, I think the fundamentals for these highs are not really justified. I'm not a financial expert, but I will say this. I know when it comes to protecting my money, I want to put it somewhere safe, and our friends over the Birch Gold Group want to help you do just that. Right now, text Trump to 989898 to get that free information kit how to take that first step in investing in gold, silver, and precious metals. We do not know what will happen after the 2024 election. I do know one thing. Fox News has been promoting actively a market crash. They've taken the same article that was published on December 8th, and they keep doing it over and over and over with a different headline, hoping to scare you. Don't let that happen. Text word Trump to 989898. Christina, Bob, Brian, Glenn, we're live inside the Trump War Room. Vanessa Broussard is at Whiskey River, where a little bit later we'll be checking in with her, with Kimberly Guilfoyle, and Don Jr. will be out here with her as well. And then tonight we're back here for our primetime coverage, kicking off at 6 o'clock here local time and going really until this race is called. We'll have all the coverage from the War Room, plus Vanessa Broussard will be downstairs in the watch party. Until then, let's toss to a commercial as we are live here in Iowa. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a few.
Parents and grandparents, the 2024 Kids Guide to President Trump is here, and it's free. As a bonus, your child gets a free issue of Everbright Kids Magazine and Activity Book, and a free video lesson. Order now at freetrumpbook.com. That's freetrumpbook.com.
Right Side Broadcasting is known for panning the crowds, showing the packed arenas, and allowing you to see the truth. We've covered hundreds of rallies, briefings, marches, CPAC, and the historic overturning of Roe v. Wade. Right Side Broadcasting was created in 2015 by our founder, Joe Seals, creating a unique broadcasting experience that allows you to make your own decision rather than force-feeding you an agenda. We don't cut or edit people's words or twist them to fit a particular point of view. We allow our correspondents to be open about their opinions while maintaining journalistic integrity. Your donations and support allow us to continue to be the gold standard in live, unedited event coverage. Your monthly or one-time contributions on our website are crucial in our fight for the truth. Thank you for all of your generous support.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and I'm here to tell you about my new product from MyPillow, towels that actually work. Watch this absorbency test. Here's another towel that we randomly went out and bought. Here's one of my towels with the nice design. I don't know if you can see this, but you could line a swimming pool with this. I mean, this is crazy. Get rid of it. Towels that actually work. What a concept. I'm interrupting this commercial to let you know you can get our 6-piece My Towels, regular $69.98, now only $29.98. Or you can save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels, made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Also, we have bath sheets, bath towels, washcloths, hand towels, and so much more. And the best part, with your promo code, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all My Towels. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
This is a call to all my fellow Americans to stand up, fired up, and will not let up. To put your foot down and will never lay down, Americans. You're the ones this country needs. To stand up for what you believe in. To wear your pride on your sleeve. This is a call to the ones who put family above fortune and always have their neighbor six. At Pure Talk, we're a wireless company that champions American values. We'll give you a voice, along with unlimited talk, text, and data for only $20 a month. That's less than a burger and fries these days. All on the most dependable 5G network. So stand with us, a proud American company that stands up for and gives back to the people who built this country. People who stand for our flag, People who believe in working hard, not hardly working. So join your fellow Americans and call Pure Talk to get 50% off your first month. This is your calling. It's time to answer.
What's up, guys? My name is Jaden Hurd, and I have a Christian show called Let It Be Heard, where we analyze culture and current events from a biblical perspective. I highly recommend you guys check us out. We now have episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And basically, what happens is we react to videos, we have talking points, we have on guests, and it's very exciting. Come check us out on Rumble on the RSBN channel. God bless you guys.
Good afternoon, America. I'm Vanessa Broussard reporting to you live from Ankeny, Iowa, just outside of Des Moines. We're having a wonderful day. It's Caucus Day, a day that many Republicans, many conservatives have been waiting for 3 years. No matter the weather conditions, the snow is on the ground outside, terrible driving conditions for the most part, but people are out and about. They are ready to caucus tonight. It's an unusual sight for me, but when you talk to all of these people from Iowa, they say, we're used to this weather. We're not worried about this weather. We will get out and we will caucus tonight because we see these conditions all of the time. I spoke earlier about President Trump having an event yesterday, and that was in Indianola. It was a packed house. The line outside was for blocks. People were wrapped around the building, standing at negative-degree temperatures just so they could get inside to see President Trump. When they got inside, it was standing room only, and it was full to the max. And there were still people outside who couldn't get in. So that was a good indication of what it will be like tonight as people get ready to caucus. Now, what the Trump campaign has been urging everyone to do is get to your locations around or before 6:30 because you have to be there at 7 o'clock. So don't be late. If you show up at 7:01, that's not good, and you might not be able to caucus. But if you show up at 6:30 or before, you'll make sure that you're there in plenty of time and you can be part of the process tonight. We are at Whiskey River, which is a wonderful restaurant here in Ankeny, and they have been very gracious to Right Side Broadcasting Network this weekend. The owner here is a Team Trump caucus captain. He owns the event center right next door to this restaurant, and that's where Don Jr. and Kimberly Guilfoyle will have an event here in just a couple of hours, a pep rally of sorts to get people excited about going out to caucus tonight. But it's also Martin Luther King Jr. Day, so the restaurant is expecting a lot of people out today, not only for the caucus event, but also because they're off school and off of work. Okay, so I'm going to take you around this wonderful restaurant as people are starting to come in the warmth here, and look who I found. A table full of caucus captains. So good to see you. Happy Caucus Day.
Thank you. Looking forward to it. So exciting.
Yes. So these caucus captains have a full job of volunteering. You get these cool hats first and foremost.
Oh, absolutely. White and gold.
Yes, love it. Tell me what the role is and what you've been doing to prepare for today.
Well, I've been preparing for about 2 months. I got my hat about a month ago. And the job of a caucus captain is you come to the caucus with at least 10 names of Trump supporters who are committed to vote for Trump. And I canvassed our area, and I went out and talked to people. I have my 10 and more. Then the other thing is that when you get to the caucus, you help count and make sure that the count is tried and true, that there's nobody throwing something in there that's not legal. So we make sure that the count is then, and then we help facilitate the caucus. And my main job that I've been working on, I've got my little speech right here, is that I'm going to be introducing Trump. He won't be there, but I'm going to be speaking on behalf of him to see if we can maybe have some of the people who aren't on board get on board.
There you go. So you have a speech prepared for tonight.
Oh, yeah. I got
pages and pages. You have a lot to say.
Yeah, but I got to do it in under 3 minutes, so I'm working on it as we speak.
Okay. So let's talk about the momentum in Iowa. President Trump always pushes and talks about how he kept Iowa first in the nation. How important is that to you as a state to be first in the nation?
Well, it's special, and it's been going on for a long time. I've been involved in politics. I've got my golden Republican elephant on right now, and so I've been going to caucuses for a long time. I'm older, and so what was the question?
How important it is. She's excited for tonight. How important it is for Iowa to be first in the nation.
Well, it is important. It is important. So we have a chance to present Trump as the number one candidate for president. And we're going to make sure that happens.
Let's talk about the issues that the people of Iowa are facing under the Biden administration. Where do we even begin?
Well, let's just say that everything good Trump did for Iowa, Biden has screwed it up.
Any farmers in your family?
No farmers, but Trump sure had been good to farmers. I think he appropriated like $28 billion to farmers. So he's for the farmers, and of course, we're a farming state.
Yes, definitely. I have driven this state for where, and it just of how Iowa is so important in the agricultural world.
Well, farmers provide the food for our country and for the world.
Yes, they do.
They're probably the most important.
Let's talk about your new friends here. Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing terrific. How are you?
I'm doing great. Are you excited to see Don Jr. and Kimberly Guilfoyle?
Absolutely. I've seen them before, but they're worth coming back to support again.
How excited are you about tonight at 7 o'clock? It's finally time. We're almost down to the wire.
I'm very excited about it. I think it's going to be a great turnout. There's going to be a lot of people there. I think there's going to be a lot of Trump supporters out because they know what the cost is if they don't get the right person in office.
There are 2,000 caucus captains for President Trump here in Iowa. And if each one brings 10 or more, that'll be a good turnout for tonight.
Absolutely. We hope it's a lot more. And we're hoping to get some of the people who are on the fence to change their mind and vote for somebody that can save our country. The only person.
We're talking about Iowa because tonight is the Iowa caucus, but what is your message for the rest of the country? The New Hampshire primary is next, and then we go to Nevada, and then we go to South Carolina, and then the March primaries. So this is the first one that really kicks off the voting process for the nominees. Any words for Americans to not sit at home when it's time for their designated state to vote?
Yeah, even if it's cold, come on out, because the people who sit on their hands and do nothing, you are not helping the country. Get out there and help save our country.
Well, we are so proud of everything that you're doing. Thanks for being a caucus captain. If I can get one of those hats, I'll have to be one. I'm from Texas, so I'll have to put my work in Texas.
No chance.
That depends if you're for Donald Trump or not.
Say that again.
I said it depends whether you're for Donald Trump or not.
Oh, yeah.
It actually says Trump hat on it, so.
Trump caucus captain, and with his signature.
Yes, and I have Eric's signature. I have Donald Jr.'s signature, Dr. Ben Carson's signature on my hat. I have Trump's signature on other things, but I don't have it on my caucus hat, but I aim to get it.
I think with your personality and your work ethic, you're well on your way.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for all the work that you're doing. It is tax season is coming up, and so if you're ready to file your taxes and just don't know where to begin, that's okay. That's where Tax Network USA comes in. Give them a call. They have representatives who are standing by ready to help you. So no matter what the case is in your situation, contact Tax Network USA. They have over 14 years of experience. They have saved their clients over $1 billion in back taxes. So They don't just negotiate, they also protect your assets from IRS seizures and manage your yearly returns for ongoing compliance. And the cool part is that they are able to do this in every single state, no matter where you live in the U.S. They are licensed to help you, so give them a call. That number is on your screen, 1-800-357-1415. Again, that's 1-800-357-1415, or visit tnusa.com/RSBN. That's tnusa.com/RSBN. Okay, we're having a great time here in Whiskey River as we wait for Donald Trump Jr. and Kimberly Guilfoyle to start their event next door. In the meantime, as we talk to all these great patrons, to Brian and Christina.
All right. Thanks, Vanessa. It looks like she's having a great time. Of course, people are excited about tonight, and I would imagine that that crowd will only get bigger as they work their way into the event scheduled a little bit later from now.
Well, hopefully around 6:30 the place clears out, because everybody needs to go caucus.
Unless that's a caucus location. I don't know if it is.
I don't know. Maybe at a bar.
I don't know. Maybe you can have a restaurant.
Make sure if you are at that party, make sure you clear it out by 6:30 and get to your caucus.
There you go. And, of course, a great shout-out to the folks that own Whiskey River to allowing us to go there today. So thank you for that. Okay, one of the top stories we talked about this past day was Hunter Biden made a surprise visit at the contempt of Congress hearing there on the Capitol Hill. Now, this was a markup session for Hunter Biden. This wasn't something that he was scheduled to appear at. This was something that the House Oversight was going to simply go over some of the details on this and go for a vote a little bit later in the day. But Hunter Biden had other ideas on that day, and so I was in D.C. I'd gotten a message that Hunter Biden and Secret Service was on their way to the Rayburn building there in D.C., and of course I was just down the street, and I think if you play the video of Forrest Gump running down the driveway, going out to the dirt road and running off in the distance, that was me last week chasing down Hunter Biden to make sure I got into the Rayburn building to get video of him walking in.
But you got the shot.
I got the shot. I got the shot. I was in position. So I'll kind of recap what I saw. He was a little bit late, came in at about 9:38, 9:40.
Well, when you say late, he wasn't scheduled.
He wasn't scheduled, but they did give the security there a heads up they were coming. He was a little bit even late. He was late from that. He wasn't even on time for that.
But I know you mentioned this, but I just want to reiterate, because I know your story is going to be absurd with everything you saw. But when Hunter's subpoenaed, when Congress issues a subpoena, the person who is subpoenaed doesn't get to say, I'm not doing it that way, I'm going to do it this way, and if you don't do it the way that I want to do it, Congress, then somehow I'm no longer obligated to respond to your subpoena. That's not how this works. When Congress issues a subpoena, you respond. Now, sometimes there is negotiations between the attorneys of, he's not available that day, can we switch the day? That's normal. That does happen. But that's not what was taking place here. What was taking place here was a circus to try to pretend like he actually was complying. When he did not comply, there was no pre-coordination other than apparently the few minutes that you were made aware of. But this is not a normal way to try to pretend like you're responding to a subpoena.
I think Democrat Dan Goldman set this up as one of the greatest PR stunts and a distraction to what was going on. So to your point, you said it perfect. He wasn't scheduled to show up, but he did. And not only did he show up, he had his attorney with him, and he had a film crew with him, which was interesting. I don't know what film that Hunter Biden is shooting right now, but he's shooting some type of documentary, and so he had a camera with him. You can imagine the questions that were peppered to him as he walked into the building, sat down in the public area there. I mean, as you know, you've been to some of these oversight hearings. There is open chairs seating for public. And
you say he has a film crew with him. Why hasn't that film crew been subpoenaed? Because I can tell you, if Donald Trump had a film crew, like if Don Jr. or Eric were filming a documentary about their life, you don't think Jack Smith would have subpoenaed and seized all of that information for their federal investigation?
Good point.
Why haven't they taken a look at what Hunter Biden is doing with his films? I mean, you have enough evidence from Congress indicating that he's got potential illegal dealings happening, and he's taking money from adversaries. He's paying his father for something that came from foreign payments. What's on those films? And the fact that no one's looking at it, or he's at least brazen enough to show up and say, I'm doing this, and I know no one's going to stop me, that is incredibly arrogant and condescending, and it's an affront to the American people.
Yeah. Okay, so we sat down in there, and at that point you had Nancy Mace was one of the first Republicans.
She did a great job.
She did a great job. And, obviously when he was there, all the questions and the attention went straight to him, as you would expect, and he just sat there. And of course, Nancy Mace dropped a couple haymakers on him, and they would kind of turn and react to each one another. Went back to a Democrat. I don't remember exactly who it was. Might have been Dan Goldman. He had a few things to say, but when Jamie Comer, oversight majority leader, said, "I will now give the floor." The Congresswoman from Georgia 5 minutes. As soon as she said thank you,
being Marjorie Taylor Greene,
saying thank you for being given the 5 minutes, Hunter Biden, his attorney, his film crew, the people that were with him, and there was a couple of people that were with him, they all got up and they all walked out the door before she could begin her questioning. And, of course, you'll hear Lisa McClain, you'll hear Nancy Mace, and Marjorie Taylor Greene obviously reacting to them getting up and walking out. And, of course, the film crews, the media, I should say, the legit media that was set up in front of him, get up as well. So you've got all these group of people that are walking out the door, and you've got people in the House oversight that are like, what's going on?
Right.
Like,
right.
What's going on here? What are we doing here? And so the attention kind of went outside the door, and I was watching Fox News during this, and of course their film crew followed him outside as well. This was nothing more, and you laid it out great. This was nothing more than a PR stunt. This was, from the public perception, is that he showed up, and Republicans, whatever, didn't ask him the questions or whatever they want to say. And the Democrat, and I want you to get your thoughts on it. The Democrat talking points on this was, sure, you want to give him in a closed deposition, okay? Well, you want to get him where you can twist out what he said in the media. Why not do it right here in front of everybody? And Jared Maskowitz from Florida says that numerous times. He's like, Republicans, my colleagues on the other side, you have them here. Why not ask them questions? Why not do it in front of the American people? Because that's not how it works. How many hours did Don Jr. and everyone else sit behind closed doors for 8-9 hours?
30 total,
30, okay.
All the difference. Well, but it also doesn't work where you just show up one day and have to be ready. Everybody has to prepare for this. All of the members of Congress are going to prepare for this. But also, it's not true. He's sitting here. You can just ask him questions. No, he can't. Marjorie Taylor Greene tried to, and he got up and left. So that is completely flawed and, quite honestly, untruthful by saying, oh, he would have answered your questions. No, he got up to leave when the hard questions really started coming. Yeah. But I do think there's something to be said. I'm gonna get some ire for this. Okay. I'm fine with an open hearing. Like, why in my sentiment, or in my thoughts about this is, these Republican members of Congress that want to do this behind closed doors. I get it. That's typically how it's done behind closed doors. And why
is that? Do you want to get a transcript and then you want to see if there's any statements that are made publicly that don't match up with what was said before?
There's some of that, but I think, and the members would have to correct me on this, but I think what they want is it feels more authentic. It feels like an actual discussion. They want to have an actual discussion with him, do a true deposition of him without the media circus of the news and all that, because they feel like it's going to be a purer interview, pure deposition, which is probably true. If they're not going to get that because he's playing these games, I'm fine. Do it publicly. But, and this is why I think they're not doing it publicly. You better be prepared. You better be prepared, because if you are not prepared for that deposition of Hunter, and I think they're about that, have of the behind the closed door session so that they can turn to staff and ask what they can get help, which is fine. It's a very difficult situation that they're in. They are in a very difficult situation. Prepare for it and do it publicly and let America see what happens. That's my thought.
Great. With you. I think it was the greatest gift to Republicans for social media purposes.
Yeah,
I mean, those clips of him walking out made the rounds, and it was trending for a while. And the videos got hundreds of thousands of views. So
and Nancy Mace's comments as well. She got a couple haymakers in there. She said, "But I want to ask you, because you were there, you were physically there. You know, we all got to see it through social media and the news. What was your feeling about it? Like, I assume just what it looked like. He walked in very arrogantly and smugly, or what? You know, what was the sentiment about? You literally just took the words out of my mouth. It was it was an arrogant way about it. He was being peppered with questions from the media going into it. Didn't answer any of them. Just stared straight ahead. His little motley crew of people around him kind of giggled and heckled or reacted to some of the questions like we don't have to answer that. That's his attitude. I think Hunter Biden feels like he's above the law. Yeah, he clearly does. I mean, think about what's happening right now. I mean, there's a lot happening in our nation, but if we break it down, Joe Biden is the president of the United States. Hunter Biden is the first son, and you have Hunter Biden suing the IRS, under investigation, charged by the Department of Justice, which he's making claims against the Department of Justice. And so you have the first family is at odds with the federal government, whether it's lawsuits or criminal activity. And then you have the first family kind of thumbing their nose at Congress, saying, we don't answer to you. That is authoritarian. That is dictatorship. Never in the United States have we had a first family take on the U.S. government the way that the Bidens are challenging the U.S. government authority. They're challenging congressional authority. They're challenging the authority of the IRS, which I think is ridiculous because Joe Biden's also trying to beef up the IRS. If your son is so upset about it, why are you trying to reinforce it? But of course, he's doing that because of tax. You know, he's under investigation. I heard people talking about this. And I want to get your take on it. Some people said, well, why didn't they just call the sergeant in arms to come arrest him in contempt of Congress, for not showing up? He's already on congressional grounds. So if you remember last time, Hunter Biden showed up on the Senate side of Capitol Hill, not on the congressional side, but on the Senate side, and did this little press conference that he had. So now that he's on where he should be, why didn't the sergeant in arms go arrest him? I'm glad they didn't, and let me tell you why. Because then the Democrats would spin this thing that Republicans are locking up their political even though that's what they do. Right. But I think it's something that would not be a good look for Republicans. I think we take Hunter Biden, you do his deposition. I like the closed door. We do the public hearing on Hunter Biden, let the American people see it, produce it just like a movie script like they did with the J6 Commission when they did that for multiple weeks and actually did hire someone from Hollywood to produce the J6 trials. We do that with Hunter Biden, and this is how we do it. We drag it out. I don't want any quick conclusion on it. I want to drag this thing out. I want to drag Joe Biden amongst all of the crimes allegedly that he has done. I want the Biden crime family to be spread out like a movie because I want the American people to see it. And you'll see these approval ratings that are 33% right now for Joe Biden will go down into 23%. It's going to keep going lower and lower. I don't want a conclusion to this. I want it to help in the election because if we conclude it, people, they get over it. Well, they're not going to, they can't conclude it. By they, I mean the Department of Justice, the IRS, all that. They can't conclude it. What I think they're trying to do, the play that they're trying to play, is charge him with these ridiculous crimes that aren't even a small fraction of the crimes he's actually committed against this nation. But they're trying to I believe they also are trying to drag it out past the election, hoping that Joe Biden is back in office or whoever replaces Joe Biden as the candidate. You have that replacement theory that I think is valid to consider. Whoever it is. And then, a few months after the election, the charges go away, everything gets dropped, it disappears, and everything's whitewashed. That's what I think they're playing. So I think both sides are trying to drag it out. I don't see Hunter Biden coming to a resolution anytime soon. Yeah.
Good stuff. Always a show there on Capitol Hill, too.
Man.
But which, by the way, and we haven't talked about this, I don't think, ever, is Fetterman turning conservative?
I saw another clip of him where he was like going after somebody, defending Israel. And he laid out the thing that blew my mind was he actually had facts. He laid out the timeline. You never see Democrats argue with the facts. You never see them argue with facts. He laid out the timeline of the Hamas attacks on Israel in October and the response, and he actually spelled it out accurately. And he was kind of yelling back at his own constituents, like, if you don't know the facts, then, you don't know what's going on. I don't remember his exact quote, but he was basically like, you don't know what you're talking about. Get out of the room. This is what happened. And I was just flabbergasted that John Fetterman was arguing facts in support of Israel to...
And it's not the first time, if you remember.
No.
I can't remember the name of the steel company that was bought out by China. And so one of the biggest U.S. steel companies that we have now has China oversight or ownership of it. He came out and said, this is ridiculous. Yeah. Why are we letting China own one of the largest steel companies in the world? And I thought to myself, did he have a stroke in the hospital?
He's getting better.
And he came back a conservative?
When you get better, when your mental health improves, you become conservative. It's just so funny. I do think you know what it probably is? Democrats, and Democrats do this. They want puppets in office. They want to put candidates in there that they can control and manipulate and play with it. And I think they believed, I did believe as well, that John Fetterman was controllable because of his mental health disorder, that he would just kind of do whatever people were telling him to do. Well, that apparently is not the case. And so I think they're left scratching their heads going, he's not the guy we thought we were. But, he can say all he wants to say. What they care about is how he votes and where he stands on how he votes. And I haven't seen any actual votes that
Senate
that he's deviated from Democrats.
Correct. And look at the Senate versus Congress. Senate is at a snail pace. It's a very slow process on everything. Congress votes on stuff daily, it seems like, and they get things passed or it fails relatively quickly. But Fetterman, when I saw that was the second clip, that he wears a hoodie and I care. Quorum is very important.
Respect for the office. I don't care if he wants to do it on the trail, if he's out giving speeches.
Maybe that's because that's his brand.
Yeah,
everyday
go for it. I don't care about that. But when you're at the Senate,
Yeah. All right, Christina, Bob, Brian, Glenn, live in the Trump War Room. We're so glad you're joining us. We are going to toss to a commercial break here in a few minutes, and we also got Vanessa Broussard, who was at Whiskey River, and she's got a very special preview to a speech coming up a little bit later this afternoon. Kimberly Guilfoyle will be there as well. Maybe Don Jr. there as well. We'll tune into her, and also kind of previewing tonight is caucus night here in Iowa, and we're going to have our live coverage kicking off at 6 p.m. Christina and myself will be right back in here at 6 p.m. But Vanessa, she's got the look. She's got the fun. She's got the fun stuff.
The fun stuff. Yeah.
She'll be down in the watch party. From what we understand by our friends at the other network over there, said, "Hey, downstairs is beautiful."
Yep, I think downstairs is the place to be as far as aesthetics and the party environment and seeing what's going on at the party, and then we'll be up here.
Yeah, we're the inside baseball kind of guys. Yeah. And then she's the fun play-by-play, but she's
doing great at it too. The way she's handling Whiskey River, I think, is great reporting, Vanessa.
Yeah, but we've got a great day full of coverage here with President Trump here in Iowa, and of course, if you're going to be on the roads later today, I was really surprised, but maybe I wasn't, that the Iowa, Department of Transportation has done a phenomenal job of cleaning these roads up and getting them cleared for people to travel across the state, especially in this region here.
Yep.
Phenomenal job. Now, I'm not going to say that the neighborhoods and stuff, maybe it's a little icy and slushy.
There's a ton of snow out there.
A ton of snow out there. A guy told me last night. Well, a guy told me last night. Last week they had 19 inches of snow, building up to what we have. 19 inches of snow in the last week. So they've had a lot of snow, but they've done a great job clearing the roads. And I just want to make sure everyone uses a little extra caution when you're going out there. Of course, I don't have to tell you that. You guys live here.
Leave early.
They're like, why are we listening to the guy from Texas telling me how to drive in the snow? They're not buying it right now.
I couldn't drive in
but
this.
I
already told them if I had to drive in this, we'd be walking.
Yeah, we'd be walking. But I am going to just want to make sure you guys stay safe out there. And, of course, if you're watching us right now from anywhere outside of Iowa, thank you so much. Make sure you share this broadcast, tag a friend, comment down below. That's one of the ways we kind of get things going here.
Yeah, if I could add one more thing. I've been meaning to remind myself about this, but if you guys want more information about the 2020 election and what happened and how we got to where we are now and what needs to happen from here going forward, I wrote a book called Stealing Your Vote, The Inside Story of the 2020 Election, what it means for 2024, what it means for right now. Check it out. It's on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, wherever books are sold. Stealing Your Vote by Christina Bob.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about that on the other side of the break. We are live in Iowa. It's caucus night in America. A few minutes, and we will come right back. Stick around.
Hi guys, we are having a great time at Whiskey River in Ankeny. So many people are here ready to caucus tonight. They're having a quick lunch. They're heading right next door to a private event hall, a center of sorts, where Don Jr. and Kimberly Guilfoyle will be speaking around 2 o'clock. And so they're having their lunch and then they're heading next door. And we'll walk over there in just a little bit just to give you an idea of what that's going to look like. Tonight's caucus, first in the nation. President Trump touts that he is the reason that Iowa has remained number one in the nation. The Trump team, the campaign, is really grateful for its volunteers as well, not just the caucus captains, who we spoke to a few of those earlier. There are 2,000 caucus captains in Iowa helping to get their areas in order, in line, prepared for tonight. But it's the volunteers as well who have done a great job making phone calls, putting together signs, emailing out letters and mailing letters. They do it all. And so I stopped by the campaign headquarters just last week and met some of these volunteers who work during the day, they work at night, and the Trump campaign even brought them pizza while I was there, just to tell them thank you for all of their hard work, because they really are patriots, Americans who want a better America, and they work hard for free, again, volunteering to put Donald Trump back in office. They are there for him, and they are making phone calls and trying to get so many people out to caucus. Now, there was some concern just last week that, oh no, we're going to have these freezing temperatures, all of this snow. Is that going to damper the outcome for people to get out and caucus? Well, the people in Iowa that I've spoke to says absolutely not. They say we are used to this kind of weather and nothing is stopping us from going out and caucusing tonight. So they're ready to go. One of the ladies who is excited, she's actually standing by to talk to me. She's actually tied up right now. Her name is Marcia. She is from Iowa. She is ready to see Don Jr. and Kimberly in the event center, so we'll get her in just a little bit, in just a second. But again, it has been weeks and months of work ahead of tonight, and we are down to the wire. There's Marcia. She's ready now. How are you doing, Marcia?
I'm doing great. Are you staying warm?
I'm trying to. Even inside it's cold.
It's Iowa. We're one day closer to spring.
That's good to know. I was just saying on air that Iowa is used to this kind of weather. There had been talk that maybe all of this snow and these negative degree temperatures would keep people away from caucusing tonight, but that's not the case.
No. We're tough.
I can see that. So love your scarf, love your pin. What is it about Donald Trump that you love so much?
In looking for a candidate, I want a candidate who has a proven track record. I want someone, and I want them to maintain the freedom for my grandkids, for the next generation.
Isn't it scary to know in just 3 years how the Biden administration has terrorized this country, what the next year is going to be like? And if we were to have 4 more years of this?
We can't. We just can't. We need to save our freedoms, save them for our children, and we need to allow people to have a voice in what they want for this country, to be told what to do.
Absolutely. And you know, when it goes back to being told, I think that Donald Trump has released so much information and really opened the eyes of Americans and uncovered all of the illegal activities that were going on and just really opened our eyes to the truth. And so, you know, you look at these companies and these news stations, they report and tell you what they want you to believe. And so you have to be
told what.
I hope everyone's just as enthusiastic as you. And by the looks of it, the last couple of days since we've been in Iowa, I think people are ready.
We're ready. We're ready for honest politics and the saving of our freedoms.
I'm going to ask you one more question. Have you been to a Donald Trump rally?
Yes.
People always ask me, what's it like? And I tell them there's no words. Can you really describe what it's like?
It's amazing. We were to one, we stood out in below zero weather, bundled up outside in Dubuque, Iowa, 5 years ago, and it was great. I'd do it again.
That's what I'm saying. The people here don't care, so don't worry about what you're watching on other news networks. No matter the temperature, no matter how much snow is on the ground, they're going out tonight and you're caucusing.
That's right. I am.
You're used to this weather.
Yep. Came back for it.
There you go. Well, so good seeing you, Marcia. Thank you so much for being here. You too. Yes. We're going to take you to the back. So, again, we are in Whiskey River. The owner of Whiskey River also owns this event center next door, and that's where Donald Trump Jr. and Kimberly Guilfoyle will be in about 24 minutes. So people don't even have to go back out into the cold. They just come through these doors, as we will here in just a little bit. And I'm going to show you the room where people are setting up. And this is what it looks like here. People are already taking pictures in front of the backdrop. So we'll have Don Jr. and Kimberly Guilfoyle there in just a little bit, getting these people excited and pumped up for tonight. And as you see from the people we've talked to today, they're smiling, they're happy, they're bundled up, but they are ready to go. So we'll bring you some coverage here in just a little bit. We are expected to talk to Kimberly Guilfoyle right around 3 o'clock, so stay with Right Side Broadcasting Network for that. We'd love to hear what she has to say as we head into the 7 o'clock hour. When the caucus begins. Again, if you are in Iowa and you are watching right now, we encourage you to get to your caucus location well before 7 o'clock, maybe between 6 and 6:30, because if you show up after 7, you will be out of luck, because it starts right at 7. You can't be late, not even at 7 o'clock in 1 minute. So at 7:01, that's too late. Get there about 6:30 and you should be good to go. So we have lots of coverage, more coverage for you here from inside the event center at Whiskey River. Stay with Right Side Broadcasting Network, your campaign headquarters, starting off right here in Iowa. First in the nation caucus. So excited for this day to be here. The people of Iowa are as well. And of course, we are excited to see those results start pouring in tonight. We're going to get set up here in the event center for the Don Jr. and Kimberly Guilfoyle event. Again, stick with us for a Kimberly Guilfoyle interview here in just a little bit. In the meantime, I'm going to toss it back over to Brian and Christina. I'm Vanessa Broussard, reporting to you live from Ankeny, Iowa.
Parents and grandparents, the 2024 Kids Guide to President Trump is here, and it's free. As a bonus, your child gets a free issue of Everbright Kids Magazine and Activity Book, and a free video lesson. Order now at freetrumpbook.com. That's freetrumpbook.com.
Right Side Broadcasting is known for panning the crowds, showing the packed arenas, and allowing you to see the truth. We've covered hundreds of rallies, briefings, marches, CPAC, and the historic overturning of Roe v. Wade. Right Side Broadcasting was created in 2015 by our founder, Joe Seals, creating a unique broadcasting experience that allows you to make your own decision rather than force-feeding you an agenda. We don't cut or edit people's words or twist them to fit a particular point of view. We allow our correspondents to be open about their opinions while maintaining journalistic integrity. Your donations and support allow us to continue to be the gold standard in live, unedited event coverage. Your monthly or one-time contributions on our website are crucial in our fight for the truth. Thank you for all of your generous support.
All right, we're back out here live. Christina, Bob, Brian, Glenn, live from the Trump War Room, and we are so glad to be here today bringing this extended coverage to you. And, of course, tonight we kick it off again at 6 o'clock here Central. I was going over some of my Instagram comments, and thank you so much for you guys interacting with me on all of my social media platforms. I even invite the trolls as well. The trolls, I love fighting the trolls. When I have time to fight them, I fight them. Most of the time they're just bots, so there's no actual person behind the post. But those that do, I appreciate it. I had one comment on there.
Truth is just Christina Bob. Instagram and X is Christina_Bob.
X. I still can't get used to saying
I was proud of myself. That was the first time I did it right, I think.
Yeah.
I keep saying Twitter.
Yeah, I say Twitter. So we talk about the media. There's a lot of media here. I just stepped out of here in the commercial break, and when Vanessa's segment to go outside and kind of look around, there's a lot of media coming in to this area right now. So, when you think about this for a second.
We claimed our spot.
That we did claim our spot. The eyes of the world is on Iowa tonight. Think about that for a second, because this is the first, this is game day, right? This is the opening kickoff here for 2024. This is the first time we're going to gauge. We've talked about the campaign speeches. We've seen all the polling. We've done all the town halls. We've done all the debates. We've done all this stuff. And it's come down to game day. And who has the commanding lead in this GOP race? Now, we can all assume, based upon the polling and what we've seen on the campaign trail, that is obviously a presumptive President Trump. But then where do everyone else fall?
That's the question.
That's the question.
Everybody knows Donald Trump is going to win Iowa. That's not even up for debate.
Yeah.
The question is, by how much is he going to set records in his win? And it's the second and third place, runner-up. I do think DeSantis will probably squeeze out Nikki Haley, even though she tends to have more support, only because of the level of enthusiasm. We talked about the
which is very important, especially on a night
when it's really cold and you don't want to go out. Yes, Nikki Haley's supporters do not have much enthusiasm. They're like, yeah, we support her, but oh well. Ron DeSantis has, I believe, less than half of the enthusiasm that Donald Trump has, but it's still more than Nikki Haley.
Yes.
So, it'll be interesting. But that's what we're all eagerly awaiting to see, right? Is how are the cards going to fall? Does Donald Trump have the commanding lead that most people believe that he does? Probably yes, but we'll find out tonight. And then, New Hampshire's the very first primary. What's his result going to be like that? So I think if Donald Trump comes out with a commanding lead that we expect him to, because the people of Iowa show up to the caucus and actually cast their votes, I think Donald Trump will clean sweep the caucuses, the early states, the primaries, and I think he'll probably be the nominee by, if not before, Super Tuesday.
Yeah, that's a great point there. All right, let's talk about our friends over at the Free Trump Book.
Free Trump
we
Book.
can talk about Trump's accomplishments until we're blue in the face, and we probably will by the time we get off the air tonight.
We will.
But you can read about it as well. And there's a website, freetrumpbook.com, freetrumpbook.com. It is written in a way that kids can understand. It goes over all the accomplishments of President Trump. I've said this before. You're not going to see this on social media. You're not going to hear about it in the schools. You're going to have to do your own part by ordering this book and giving it to kids, grandkids, your friends, neighbors, people at church. Give it to them. You can order, I think, as many as you want. You just have to pay the small shipping and handling fee. I don't know. Get some details on that. But the website is freetrumpbook.com. It's super easy. I know that Vanessa talks about she's gotten the book for Marty, her son. I think it's great. I think it's a great gift from anybody. And it's interesting because if you're looking for the accomplishments of President Trump, you have to really kind of dig on the web for that. You don't have to do that with this. freetrumpbook.com, freetrumpbook.com. I often joke about the University of TikTok, that these kids get their degrees from social media.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember early on, Melania Trump, First Lady, was talking about the influence that social media and the web misinformation had on kids. And she was kind of, this is before I think people really start to talk about it. And Catherine Cipher last night talked about this on air, how she was ahead of the curve on this stuff, talking about kids being influenced by social media companies and things like that. And that's exactly what's happening today. Is kids simply get their information off of social media. If you were to go into TikTok right now and put my name, it is obscene what comes up. It's just clips of people making fun of something that you and I have said on the air. Actually,
you do it on purpose, though.
I like to I like to kick the hornet's nest every once in a while. I did say that I thought liberal women were some of the ugliest women in this country, and because they're ugly inside on their beliefs. I feel like they're sour in their beliefs. I feel like they deal with issues they shouldn't be dealing with, and it reflects on the outside. I'm not saying that all liberal women are ugly. I'm not saying that at all.
No, of course
but the
not.
majority of women that are out there screaming in the streets and protesting are typically not the most beautiful people that you'll see. And I know this is, but it's true. It's true.
And then you wonder how you end up on TikTok.
And then I wonder how I end up on TikTok, and then Newsweek wants to write an article. But generally speaking, and this goes into a happiness conversation.
Yes.
Okay,
And this is legitimate.
This is legitimate.
It's legitimate.
Okay, this is legitimate. People that are happy on the inside, it reflects on the outside. The left is never happy. They are the party. They are the people of we are never happy.
Discontent. That is their platform.
That is correct. They put no faith in anything other than man. Well, guess what? Man is flawed. Man will disappoint you. Man will let you down. Conservatives tend to put their faith in God, and we have a lot more faith that things that happen in life are for a purpose and that God has a plan for each and every one of us. The left wakes up and feels like they have to put their faith in man and that they can't find happiness in anything other than these earthly things. And so that's why I truly think that people on the left tend to be a little bitter and sour about life in general. They're the ones that are constantly protesting about something, constantly complaining about something in our world. If it's not climate change, it's diversity on Wall Street, and we can go into that in a little bit. It's always something. It's always something.
They find being offended to be a virtue.
Yes.
So if you can be offended, if you are a victim, they have a victim mentality, and they promote victimhood. Because if you promote victimhood and you can solve that, like you create your own problem so that you can solve it, well, then you're a hero. When you're not actually solving any problem because there was never a problem there to begin with. But they have a victim mentality and love to be offended. They will be offended at everything.
Yeah.
And President Trump, we've seen him joke about it. He's like, you can't even say someone or something is beautiful anymore because people get upset and offended saying, well, you can't say that they're beautiful. I mean, people, they can't even take a compliment. So I do think there's something to be said for the idea that they're just unhappy people.
Well, Dennis Prager, who is one of my career idols, I had the pleasure of broadcasting from his studio when I was in Los Angeles, and I didn't want to leave, to be honest with you. I was absolutely blown away by it. But he does often talk about inner happiness is reflected on the outside, and that if you look at the most philanthropic party of the two, of Republicans and Democrats, by far, Republicans are more philanthropic towards the needy than any other segment in our society, that we are the most giving segment in our society.
That's really interesting how that's defined, because if you look at, for example, the 2020 election and the money that was poured in, liberals spent billions more than conservatives did to impact the outcome of the election. They were outspending. I don't have the empirical data on this, but by the looks of it, they are outspending conservatives, but they're doing it in weaponizing the justice system against their political opponents. They're doing it in, the Zuckerbucks that paid for drop boxes and the mobile voting sites and all the things that were paid for that way. They're outspending. So if we're talking about philanthropic endeavors, they are outspending conservatives, but it's what they're spending their money on.
They're misguided. Their finances are misguided. It's not going in the right places to do better society. It's going into places to weaponize, to control society. It's interesting because you'll see the Democrats will pour millions of dollars into a congressional race. Right now, Lauren Boebert is experiencing that. She vacated her seat to go across the state to take an open seat, at least run for an open seat, and claimed that Hollywood was coming after her district. Well, wake up call, Lauren Boebert. Hollywood's coming after every single district in this country, not just yours, but other people in Congress as well. And it's something that we have to fight. I know for a fact that there have been some districts where Hollywood has put $18 to $20 million into a race, and guess what happened? Their ass got smacked by 70 points in a race. It doesn't matter. You cannot outspend and win a district. If a district is red and the constituent is in there, or the elected official is in there doing their job, you can't beat them by the pocketbook. You can't buy your way into a congressional seat if your person is doing what they should be doing.
And the constituents are engaged.
And the constituents are engaged. You can put all the money in the world. It will not happen. So shame on a Republican. If you're not strong enough and you're not voting the right way, which, by the way, LibertyScore.com is a great, and I believe that's the accurate website, is a great website that will tell you just how conservative your elected official is and how they vote. And so if you're not voting the right way, you should be nervous, because I know how your constituents want you to vote. So if you're not doing what you need to be doing, you're not spending time in your districts, you're not talking to the people, okay? When Congress is out of session, you know what you do?
What do?
You go back home.
Yeah,
You
right?
go back home. You talk to your constituents. You go around your district. You don't go off and do certain things that aren't conducive and do not help your cause.
I do think.
And let me tell you, because I'm telling you right now, the people that are struggling in their districts, it's because they haven't served the people.
That's true.
It's not really it's not necessarily that they haven't voted the right way, because a lot of these people have fairly good voting records. It's just they haven't necessarily communicated to the constituents, and they've allowed this money from the left to come in and steal a little of attention on that. And, of course, if you don't conduct yourself in a way that, I'm not going to get into the weeds of all this, but if you stay out of controversy for the most part and you just do your job, show up and come home, you're in a very Liberty Score. You got it right there.
Yeah, I just pulled it up. Sorry, I was pulling up Liberty Score. So I just did Oklahoma.
Okay.
And I'm really surprised to see that James Lankford has a 76% conservative rating.
Well, go check out some more of these America First people.
Yeah.
Look, they can come off America First.
Here,
America
I'll do
First all you
Colorado.
want.
Let's look at Colorado real fast, because just looking at Boebert, because that's who you were talking about.
Hey, Boebert has a great voting record.
She's got a really good voting record.
But it's the
There she is.
distractions.
Yeah, she's got 100%.
100%. But it's some of the distractions that is really has separated from that.
Ken Buck, I know. Ken Buck has 96.
Ken Buck, yeah.
Interesting.
Okay. We'll talk about him if you want to here in a second as well. Let's talk about our friends over at Pure Talk, as far as staying engaged and spending your money with companies that you want to spend it with, that they're going to go back and they stand for the values that you stand for. Our friends over at Pure Talk, they're right there, and they have done that, and they've got people in D.C. making sure that your rights are protected and that our Constitution is protected, and they are definitely a company with values, and they always have your back. You always want a company that will stand with you. And so right now, if you're looking to provide additional service on your communications, maybe switch, you don't like the company you're with now, Pure Talk has a solution for you. And to make sure I get this right, you can simply go call 844-8-PURE-TALK. That's 844-8-PURE-TALK, and talk to a representative from the U.S. That's very important. They'll be able to understand you and communicate with you and do that. And right now, if you'll save an additional 50% off your first month's bill. So you'll not only do business with a great American company, but also you'll be able to save some money on that bill as well. They are new to our network, and so I said this yesterday. I really want you guys to call them and reach out to them and get some information about switching to Pure Talk. Okay, go just inquire about switching over. Not only does it you get some information, you might make an educated decision whether or not this is something you need to do, but also lets them know that, hey, you heard it from Right Side. So we appreciate if you guys would do that, and the information for that is on your screen. We're going to toss to commercial break in about 5 minutes, and we'll continue to cover. I think Vanessa might be a little bit deeper in the weeds there at Whiskey River as far as getting some interviews as that event is probably close to starting. We'll find out about her on that.
Yeah, and I'm real curious to see the folks that she's talking to, how they're feeling about the caucus and, what they intend on doing, because she'll go from that, come back here to be at the watch party downstairs, with all of the folks who are joining the president for the watch party. But the key thing is, even everybody at the watch party is concerned about, are the people of Iowa going to show up for Donald Trump? Are they going to show up if they're supporting Nikki Haley? Are they going to show up if they're supporting Ron DeSantis? Who is going to show up? And that's the only thing that matters tonight.
Yeah. And also getting to that Liberty score, go check it out, because it is really it's a fun resource.
You can get a lot.
It's fun, Lauren has a great voting record.
She has a 100%.
She's great.
Yep.
But you know who else who had a great voting record? George Santos, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, but he's a great example how things outside.
It wasn't his voting that was the problem.
It wasn't his voting as a problem.
Yeah.
But that's my point to all of this, that you can vote the right way, but when you're not in session, try to keep out of the tabloids. Try to keep out of the news.
I just looked up my congressman, Brian Mast, who I've met. I don't know him well, but 69%, which is about right.
That might be the average.
No, I don't think so. Even Langford was at 74, and he's, whatever. But anyway, have fun playing with it, because honestly, I'm so sorry. I'm getting so excited.
Need some water.
About it. I'm so excited about it. But it's really, really important that you understand how your members are voting, but also how other members are voting. So even if you don't live in someone's district, know what Marjorie Taylor Greene is doing and Matt Gaetz, how they're voting, not just the percentage that they align with true conservative causes, but how we need to be, all of us, myself included, all need to be more informed about who is voting for what and how they're voting. Because
you'd be really surprised, and I had this conversation last night with someone, that the perception of someone being totally America first, total Trump agenda, they stand for just about everything that you and I stand for, and they express that on social media, and they do that in interviews, and they come off with their 5-minute floor speeches they clip on C-SPAN, and they push it out, and it's blah 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 blah. But at the end of the day, are they voting for the right things? Because when we come back from the break, and we'll go to break, I want to talk about Mayorkas. Because if there's anyone that needs to be impeached outside of Joe Biden, it's Mayorkas for the border. And for him to stand there and tell Christopher Wray, we can go down the list, Merrick Garland. Okay, we can go down the list. But it's interesting how many people, though, Christina, simply don't want to vote for an impeachment on Mayorkas, but they come across as the biggest America First supporter of President Trump that you can get. And that's where I call BS on that. It's very hypocritical.
We need to do something about the border. We need to do something. Well, there is something you can do, Mr. Congressman or Mrs. Congressman, and they don't do it.
They don't do it. So
a lot of talk.
We'll get into the impeachment on Mayorkas and what we can expect from that when Congress comes back this next week, if they make it back. I know snowstorms hitting. I don't know that that is another conversation, because what happens?
Well, maybe the folks from Florida will show up, and we can actually get.
Yeah, but here's what's funny. When we come back, I will go toss it 1 minute.
Okay.
Our margin of majority is so slim right now that we cannot afford a snowstorm where no one gets in to vote. Because guess what the Democrats can do? If Democrats have quorum and they have full attendance, they could vacate the chair immediately. They would have the votes to do it, because the Republicans wouldn't be there because they're in Iowa or they're across the country.
Vacating a chair is an interesting discussion.
That's it. We're going to talk about that after the break. We've got a lot to cover. Christina, Bob, Brian, Glenn, as we're live here in the Trump War Room. Few minutes, and we will come right back. Stick around.
Parents and grandparents, the 2024 Kids Guide to President Trump is here, and it's free. As a bonus, your child gets a free issue of Everbright Kids Magazine and Activity Book, and a free video lesson. Order now at freetrumpbook.com. That's freetrumpbook.com.
Right Side Broadcasting is known for panning the crowds, showing the packed arenas, and allowing you to see the truth. We've covered hundreds of rallies, briefings, marches, CPAC, and the historic overturning of Roe v. Wade. Right Side Broadcasting was created in 2015 by our founder, Joe Seals, creating a unique broadcasting experience that allows you to make your own decision rather than force-feeding you an agenda. We don't cut or edit people's words or twist them to fit a particular point of view. We allow our correspondents to be open about their opinions while maintaining journalistic integrity. Your donations and support allow us to continue to be the gold standard in live, unedited event coverage. Your monthly or one-time contributions on our website are crucial in our fight for the truth. Thank you for all of your generous support.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and I'm here to tell you about my new product from MyPillow, towels that actually work. Watch this absorbency test. Here's another towel that we randomly went out and bought. Here's one of my towels with the nice design. I don't know if you can see this, but you could line a swimming pool with this. I mean, this is crazy. Get rid of it. Towels that actually work. What a concept. I'm interrupting this commercial to let you know you can get our 6-piece My Towels, regular $69.98, now only $29.98. Or you can save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels, made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Also, we have bath sheets, bath towels, washcloths, hand towels, and so much more. And the best part, with your promo code, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all My Towels. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
This is a call to all my fellow Americans to stand up, fired up, and will not let up. To put your foot down and will never lay down, Americans. You're the ones this country needs. To stand up for what you believe in. To wear your pride on your sleeve. This is a call to the ones who put family above fortune and always have their neighbors six. At Pure Talk, we're a wireless company that champions American values. We'll give you a voice, along with unlimited talk, text, and data for only $20 a month. That's less than a burger and fries these days. All on the most dependable 5G network. So stand with us, a proud American company that stands up for and gives back to the people who built this country. People who stand for our flag. People who believe in working hard, not hardly working. So join your fellow Americans and call Pure Talk to get 50% off your first month. This is your calling. It's time to answer.
What's up, guys? My name is Jaden Hurd, and I have a Christian show called Let It Be Heard, where we analyze culture and current events from a biblical perspective. I highly recommend you guys check us out. We now have episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And basically, what happens is we react to videos, we have talking points, we have on guests, and it's very exciting. Come check us out on Rumble on the RSBN channel. God bless you guys.
Welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network. Our coverage continues today for the Iowa caucus. It is January 15th. We have been waiting for this day for 3 years now. First in the nation caucus, as these people of Iowa get ready to head to their designated locations tonight at 7 o'clock to caucus for their candidate of choice on the Republican side to be the nominee on the ballot in November. Again, first in the nation. It's been a long time coming, but we are here. We're excited to be here, and so are the people of Iowa. We are moving over now into the event center of Whiskey River, and this is where Donald Trump Jr. and Kimberly Guilfoyle will be having their rally of sorts here in just a couple of minutes. It's supposed to kick off at 2 o'clock. It's 2:04 right now, so they are here in the building, and we're waiting for them to arrive. As you can see behind me, the people here are standing around waiting for this event to kick off, and then we'll hear from Don Jr. and also Kimberly Guilfoyle, and she's supposed to be coming over to Right Side Broadcasting Network at the top of the hour at 3 o'clock to come speak with us about how important tonight is and also how important it is to save this country in November. So stick around for that. We'll hear from them here in just a little bit when they start things off here in the event center. And then we'll hopefully get a chance to talk to Kimberly Guilfoyle at 3 o'clock. Listen, if you're in Iowa and you still don't know where to go to caucus tonight, you can go to ia.donaldjtrump.com to find your caucus location. Again, that is ia.donaldjtrump.com to find your location. Now, next up is New Hampshire, the primary. We already have a crew there. Matthew Alvarez is standing by in New Hampshire for a rally that President Trump is having tomorrow, actually. So He doesn't rest. He doesn't sleep. He doesn't stop. We all know that. That's why we love Donald Trump, because he's a go-getter and he's always on the move. I don't know how he does it, but he does it. So he'll end tonight here in Iowa, and then he'll head over to New Hampshire tomorrow, and that's where our Matthew Alvarez will pick up coverage from there. Again, Right Side Broadcasting Network is your campaign headquarters for the 2024 election, so make sure you are following us along the way, because we are going to be on the campaign trail. It's going to be busy, and it's going to be long days and short nights, but that's how Donald Trump likes it, and so that's what we're going to do. So make sure you're signed up for all of our notifications. You're following us on the web. Make sure that you sign up for our newsletter as well. So as events start happening, as breaking news occurs, you can get those live notifications coming into your email. We want to thank our sponsors. Of course, we could not be here without them. One of the ones who is just pure gold, because they are, is Birch Gold. They are amazing. They will help you invest in your future. I know right now times are tough for so many Americans. The economy, gas prices, grocery prices, living expenses, rent, you name it, everything has skyrocketed, and so it's hard to save right now because the economy. And so Birch Gold can help you get on the right path. So all you have to do is text the word Trump to 989898. A representative will call you, and you can come up with a plan that best fits your needs, and they will send you a free information kit about their company. They have a 5-star rating with the Better Business Bureau. They're wonderful at what they do, and they want to help you, all Americans, save and invest in gold. They'll teach you how to do it. They'll show you how to do it. They'll work with you, a plan that best fits you. So again, text the word Trump to 989898. That's Birch Gold Group, and they will help you save for your future. All right, so tonight is caucus night. Starts at 7 p.m. We encourage you to get to your location by 6:30 p.m. just in case there's some issues. We don't want you to be late, because if it's 7:01 or 7:05, you won't be able to get in. So make sure you get there on time, and so better get there early and then not be able to get in at all. Just some fun facts about the Iowa caucus and the Team Trump campaign. There are 2,000 caucus captains in Iowa for Team Trump. They are all encouraged to bring at least 10 people with them, sign up 10 people at least. And so if you do the math on that, we're looking for a pretty good turnout in Iowa. And real quick, the latest poll from Interactive Polls shows that President Trump has an 89% chance of winning the Iowa caucus tonight by 20 points or more. But that doesn't mean you have to get complacent and stay home. Still go out and caucus tonight. We're having a great time already. We're just hours away and minutes away from Don Jr. and Kimberly Guilfoyle. In the meantime, as we wait for them to come down the stairs and take the stage, I'm going to toss it back over to Brian Glenn and Christina Bob.
All right, Vanessa getting set up there for some speeches, and she's got a lot of great stuff ahead, so we appreciate her checking in with us. We were talking before the break in her about the impeachment on Mayorkas, and you'd be surprised how many Republicans aren't quite there yet, and yet we can go talk to millions of Trump supporters and the base, and millions of Americans have let their opinion be heard that they are very concerned about the border, but as far as Mayorkas is concerned, there's no problem at the border.
Well, no, because that's the whole Biden agenda. That's the whole leftist agenda, is to flood the country with as many illegal immigrants as possible and try to dilute the rights and authorities of true American citizens. That's what they are trying to do. That's their goal that they're trying to accomplish with this open border policy. So that doesn't surprise me at all. As far as impeaching Mayorkas goes and Republicans' reluctance to do so, Republicans are reluctant to do everything, because most of these Republicans have kind of quote unquote grown up in the system. They've grown up over the way Republicans have done things for the last 40 years, which is go along to get along, let Democrats be the crazy ones, let them do whatever they want to do, and as long as we just, mind our own business and don't interfere with what Democrats are doing, we get to keep our seat, we get to keep our title, we get to keep the honor and respect of being a member of Congress or being an elected official in whatever office, and we don't have to actually do anything. The problem is Democrats have way overstepped their authority. They are now very much infringing on Americans' rights. And now we have a body, thankfully it's changing, but a body of Republican leaders going, I don't know how to handle this because we've never fought back before since I've been in politics. And we now have a generation of Republicans that need to fight back. That's why it's great that we see a lot of these newcomers. I mean, Marjorie's not necessarily new anymore,
like
but
Corey
she's
Mills.
Yeah, Corey Mills is another one, and then you've got fighters coming up that haven't necessarily yet been elected. Like Carrie Lake is another one where she's made a name for herself for being a firebrand for truth and not backing down on things, and that's what we need. She's running for Senate in Arizona. We need these up and comers to reform the Republican Party, not just the party, but just to reform the conservative side of the aisle, because it takes we have a two-party system and each side has to pull its weight, and when conservatives get out of line for being way too conservative and causing momentum to stall, then liberals have to push, and when liberals get out of line for being way too crazy and going past anything Americans truly want, then conservatives need to pull, and it's this push and pull that help keep us in line. The problem is Republicans have let go of their end of the rope and we're not getting that pullback, and so liberals are just running off crazy with doing whatever they want to do, and we have conservatives going, oh, but I didn't think I actually had to hold the other end of the rope. You do. And so I think that's the way that I see the problem today. What do you think? Why are conservatives scared to do anything?
Christina, we can just end the show right now because you laid it out as well as anyone can. The problem with Washington is Washington. It's the people who have only had jobs serving within the government, in whatever capacity. Chip Roy's one of them in Texas. He's always worked for some type of government agency. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing. But if you never go into the private sector, you never go into small business, you've never had to sign a paycheck, you never had to work 80 hours a week, you never had to do all these things that the working class American does, then don't lecture me about being someone in the working class, because you're not. You laid it out brilliantly.
Thank you. That's actually in my book, if you would like to.
Well, there you go. You took a page out of your book, right?
I did take a page out of my own book. But let me ask you this, and I might get in trouble for asking this on the air when we haven't actually talked about this. I don't think we've talked about this yet. What do you think of the way Congress was originally designed? I'm specifically talking about Congress, but this could potentially apply to any office. It was basically a part-time Congress, and they were active working members of their communities, and they lived and breathed and slept and ate with the people in their community, and they would go to Congress part-time. That changed. The reason that changed and we had a full-time Congress was as the nation grew, but transportation didn't grow fast enough, is folks from California and Oregon, Washington, it couldn't go back and forth easily. That's not true anymore. And I think where we're seeing a lot of the corruption come in is people who are members of Congress are naturally go-getters. They're very high achievers, and they want to work hard, and none of them are going to be satisfied with a small pittance of what you get for working for Congress. So you take these really high-achieving people and say, you can't grow and you can't do things. They find creative ways of improving their own situation. And because we have these laws in place that say they're not allowed to make money outside of Congress, within certain bounds, I actually think that policy itself tends to breed corruption. I'm not saying it's right, and I'm not saying it's okay, but it happens. So I think there's something to be said to going back to the way that it was done before, where they're allowed to make money. They can have jobs outside of Congress. They should have jobs outside of Congress. I don't know. What do you think about that?
You're right. Is this a page out of your book as well?
No, but maybe I'll write this one.
I think you should write an additional page to this, because you're absolutely correct. I mean, these people are kind of forced to, if they're not, the moral compass gets off, they're kind of, they
become lazy and blasé because they're like, I can't do anything, so then they just sit there. So
you're right, because it is a full-time job in Congress, and these people, God bless the Boberts of the world, that it's not easy to fly to Colorado and then drive, and everybody else. Even with Kevin McCarthy, I mean, you talk to somebody that's in California or Alaska or God forbid Hawaii, you're really kind of in a pickle there. But I'm with you on that. And if you look at what happens like in Texas, they meet every 2 years for, I think, for 5 months. I believe that's what it is. They can't go past a date in May, if I'm not mistaken. So they meet every 2 years in session, which means they are allowed to go home and have small businesses and work and provide
they
for their
should,
family.
and then they care about that community more because
Right.
they're invested in that
Because
community.
they're there, yes. But here's the deal. To hold down a place in Washington and also provide for your family in
expensive.
whatever district you're from, it's expensive. And for the first time, and thanks to Kevin McCarthy, if we'll give him the credit to this, members of Congress, they now get reimbursed for housing while they're in session. There's a daily rate on that. So
Okay.
it depends on where you live. It might cost you more, it might cost you less. There's also a food allowance given to them, a per diem for food. So they do, in a way, get reimbursed for having living expenses in Congress. But that's because, look, it's expensive.
It's really expensive. But
They've got members that sleep in their offices, by the way.
Yeah.
There are people, and I don't want to name names here, but they sleep in their office. And you think, well, wait a minute. These are grown adults. So you would think that have, a substantial...
elected officials. But they're not allowed to make more money, and so they have to make
Yeah.
these sacrifices. And whether it breeds corruption or whatnot, it's just not truly the standard of living that, quite honestly, I'll go as far as say many members of Congress, every member of Congress deserves. So rather than having to, and I'm just brainstorming this, I'm not even advocating this at this point, but for the sake of discussion, rather than saying, okay, we'll reimburse your housing while you're here, they already get an allowance for being a member of Congress. What if you just leave that and say, while you're home, support yourself with the business that you have,
Or pay them more.
But they wouldn't need to because they'd be able to make more money. So you make money in your district. You live off of what you're making in your district. Again, I'm spitballing here.
We're spitballing some ideas. We're saving Congress right here.
Let's
one idea
figure
at
out
a
how
time.
to.
No, but I think that's why you get so many people like Joe Biden, who's been in Congress almost longer than I've been alive, and I'm 54 years old.
He's got, what is he worth? Tens of millions?
Tens of millions. And I think
because he makes less than up until he became a senator, he was making less than $200,000 a year and not allowed to earn outside income in specific ways. There are certain investments you can make, but he suddenly grew his net worth to 20 million or whatever it is.
Yeah. But that's a conversation about term limits as well. I mean,
everybody.
I mean,
I say any member of the federal government.
You know what's interesting about this is when I was down
with exceptions. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Because the crazies will be like, she says this. There will be exceptions.
Exceptions that Costa Rica has a policy now on their president that can't even serve 2 years, a 2-year term. They do one term and then they're out. They got to do re-election, and that's because they had just years of corruption in that country, and they said no more.
No more.
But the problem with that is once you get an administration in,
they finally learn what they're doing.
It takes them a while to get their policies in place, and then once it's working, nothing. It's time to start all over again and get somebody else. Hopefully, the next party up is very similar to what is in there now. Obviously, we have a 2-term limit here for the presidency, which if any way you look at it, is probably a good thing. I mean, it's a good thing. Thank God.
Yeah.
We have that. But that's what makes this country so special. And like I said before, today is game day. It's kickoff for 2024, and it's one of those things where we've talked about it for 3 years now. We've done 50, 60, 70 rallies, Trump events since the 2020 election. And now it's come down to tonight. And tonight's going to be the first time we're going to see any indication of how this country feels about the change of government here.
Yeah.
And I think the American people are so mad right now. I think these margins that you're seeing are going to be blown out. Never have we ever in recent memory have had such a decline in every single industry and every single thing we face. Christina, and President Trump talks about this a lot. All Joe Biden had to do was go to the beach. Everything was on cruise control. Brought it back from COVID. Remember, he built back the economy from COVID? And all of a sudden, Joe Biden reverses every single thing. We've never been in a situation we need immediate reversal than now. That's why I predict tonight will be a huge landslide, And I think we're going to see that in the coming months.
I think it will be a huge landslide as well. We talked about this earlier in this program, but the largest margin that any candidate has ever won the Iowa caucus, the Republican candidate that has ever won the Iowa caucus, was Bob Dole, and he won with 12.8% margin before the next person. It's curious tonight. I'm curious tonight whether Donald Trump will beat that 12.8 margin. I think he will. I'm hoping he comes close to doubling it. That's just, let's make it a nice round number.
If the odds are on that happening, because if you look at the approval rating, it's anywhere from between 40 and 50% margin. So if people show up, then there goes your 12%.
Yeah, that's the other 12%. So I'm hoping he gets that. And we also talked about this, but no Republican has ever won the caucus with more than 50%. Normally there's several candidates. No Republican candidate has ever gotten more than 50% at the caucus to win it. I'm curious to see if President Trump can surpass that. Now, and you had mentioned this, you very astutely brought this up. A lot of the commentators on both the conservative side and the liberal side who are anti-Trump, don't like Donald Trump, are saying, well, if Donald Trump doesn't hit that 50% margin, then it means that people are, voting for so many other people they don't want Trump. That's not true. No candidate has ever received 50%. So if Donald Trump comes in at 49%, that's completely normal and in line with every single prior caucus in the history of the state of Iowa. So don't be deceived if he doesn't hit that 50% mark. But I think he might. I think he might hit it.
I think so. I really do. I don't think that's being pie in the sky, playing fantasy politics here. I think he does a really good night. I really do. And
I'm feeling good
and
for
these
him.
Counties that historically have shown up, I think they're going to show up. But, it's all because of everything that's come down in the 3 years to now. And so if I'm sitting in Iowa right now, and this is the first opportunity I can go to a ballot box, right?
Yep.
Cast vote, let my opinion be heard. I'm doing it. Like you're doing it. You're gonna walk over icebergs out there.
This is a good. I mean, if you ever wanted to get involved in the political process, this is a good one to do it. And in Iowa, remember it's a caucus. You got to get to your caucus location. You can look it up. I believe it's ia.donaldjtrump.com.
Correct.
You can find your caucus location. Make sure you go to your caucus location and arrive there before 6:30 to make sure that you can get in and get seated and get situated for the caucus. And be prepared to listen to the speakers and if you need questions answered, there will be a Trump caucus captain there to answer any questions about why you should vote for Donald Trump or answer any questions about President Trump's policies on this. But show up before 6:30. Make sure you're there by 6:30 so that you can actually participate.
Yeah, it's interesting. You talked about Carrie Lake earlier, and what the Senate would look like with Carrie Lake in the Senate. The Senate needs some firebrands in there.
It needs though.
But here's my problem. I think not problem. Here's my observation with Carrie Lake in the Senate. The Senate moves extremely slow.
Right.
Extremely slow.
But that's because of who's in there.
And that's because who's in there. But it's just the way the committees are set up. She's going to go in there and light it on fire.
Yep.
And it's probably what they need. And we know that she's America
Which is
first.
why everybody's afraid of her.
That's why everybody's afraid of her. And that's why people people attack her so much. But that's interesting to see what would happen with that. And I feel confident that she'll win the primary in Arizona.
That's a really interesting primary because it's a three-way primary.
You've got Mark Lamb, Sheriff Mark Lamb, and if I'm not mistaken, he's in that primary.
I believe he's still in there.
And then you have.
But I'm sorry, primary. I was talking about the general election.
Yeah.
So I was already assuming she'd won this primary.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she's got to win the primary, obviously.
But that's an interesting race, a good one to watch. I think she comes out on top, but because you have an independent. Remember, Kirsten Sinema changed from the Democrat Party to independent. That's the tricky piece. So the incumbent is independent.
Yeah. So we'll see how that plays out. And, I can't help but think, what a great governor Carrie Lake would have made.
Look at the mess Arizona's in now.
It's in a mess.
Even Katie Hobbs, the governor of Arizona, who I believe stole the election from Carrie Lake, or at least, thank you. I was like, I don't know.
You got a book.
But anyway, I believe the 20 elections may not have been the most above board. But even Katie Hobbs is having to acknowledge that there's problems at the border. Have you seen that recently? She sent the National Guard to the border.
Which I think is a good look for her to go. To,
She had to. She wouldn't. There's no way.
Yeah, but at least someone around her advisors are saying, "Look, don't keep letting this happen. You need to get somebody at the border, and show an effort to secure the border."
Yeah, but I don't think are they. And I haven't seen an update. My skepticism says, what is the National Guard actually doing at the Arizona border?
Yeah, exactly. Is it effective?
How many returns have there been since the Guard has been the National Guard has been on the border?
But it will be interesting. Also, we talked a little bit about Mike Johnson. Obviously, when
we got lots to talk about Mike Johnson.
You know, and I was supportive. You know, whenever he was elected, and he's a great guy.
He was
great
very
family
promising.
guy. Louisiana. Has not been serving in Congress. I think 6 years. He was relatively new, so he had not been too entrenched in D.C., which is a good thing. But we've seen, I think he's playing, and I like to use this term, lack of a better word, I think he's playing footsies with the Democrats too much. I think he's playing footsies.
He's playing the old game.
He's playing the old game, and what's happening is now you're seeing the speaker lean into more for Ukraine. Let's work with the Democrats. Let's make sure that we keep giving Zelensky the money he needs to defeat Putin. He's going that direction instead of drawing a line in the sand and saying, "Look, there is no border deal if we don't get a Ukraine deal, then there's no border."
He's not supporting conservative values to the degree we need them supported.
I want a complete shutdown if we don't get a border package. And
that's what Democrats did to Donald Trump.
Yep.
And
remember the video?
worked.
Schumer said on the record. Remember, there's a video. They're sitting down, and Schumer saying, "Will you take responsibility for shutting down the government?" He says, "Yes." And he goes, Schumer, that's all he wanted was to put the blame on somebody.
Yep, that's right. And Republicans need to do that, but they can't because they don't want to make the Democrats upset.
No.
But they need to play the same exact game that Democrats played when Donald Trump was in office. It's the same thing. It is the exact same thing, and they need to force Democrats to take responsibility for shutting down the government because Republicans refuse to continue to fund Ukraine, and they refuse to continue to go along with this open border scheme. Take a stand. Democrats take the blame. They're in control of everything. Republicans, you get away with this. This is where you draw the line, and they're refusing to do it.
Here's what's also interesting, because people say, well, Brian, if you shut down the government, so many millions of government employees aren't going to get a paycheck.
I hate to say it, but that's the stick. You have a carrot and a stick, and that's what you use.
Correct.
Sorry.
No, you're right.
That's how you get it.
That's correct.
That's how you get it to happen.
And guess what? You're still going to get your Social Security checks.
Yep.
Okay. There's still government agencies that will still be funded to stay open because the military's not going to shut down. Okay. That's not what happens. So the messaging on this is really important. But here's also the deal. How many millions of Americans since COVID had to just shut, up their life and just move and go do something else because their industry got shut down, their business got shut down, the economy crashed? So be it. Okay, so be it. We are so
They're using
broke.
Americans.
They're
as
using
pawns.
Americans. But the thing is, we're so far in debt right now. You have to treat this like it's your business.
It's a crisis.
Your business is on fire. And when your business is on fire, you cut to the most minimal necessity, what you need to keep it going forward. And so if it means trimming back and people lose their job.
Well, they won't lose their job. And when it comes back, there's back pay.
There's back pay. But also what I'm also talking about, if you have to do away with some committees.
Like an entire department.
Yeah, you do away with
There's
an entire
a few departments I would like to get rid of.
Like that's called life. That's called living in the real world, not the government guaranteed a paycheck.
Let's get rid of the Department of Education. I think President Trump has already said he would do that. There's a few other.
Let's get rid of all the COVID money. Why are we still giving COVID money? Why are we still giving money to foreign countries who want to kill us? Why is China getting so much money?
The World Health Organization?
Well, the WHO. Why are we funding all this stuff? Like, I am so not a fan. Because, Christina, and I hope this doesn't sound bad, but when I say America first, I mean America first, not America after everyone else gets paid, not America after everyone else gets served, not America after everyone else's military gets rebuilt. I mean America first now. And until we do that, we are going to continue to see our debt spiral out of control.
Yeah, and That's what they want. They're trying to cripple America. They're trying to bring us to our knees because a strong America
I said this earlier. This is all an attempt to crush the middle class.
to crush every American who's not them.
That's it. So the working class gets crushed, the middle class gets crushed, and so then you have two classes of people. You have the elite and you have the poor. That's what they want. The more people that are on welfare, or more people, then they're more willing to take government assistance. It's a supply chain. It's a conveyor belt to poverty, and that's what they want. And you've seen the working class struggle under every Democratic policy, every Democratic administration. The working class has struggled. They say they're for the working class. They say they're for the unions and all of this, but in the end, that is not what's rebuilding America and keeping us strong.
No,
it's such a play on crushing the working class, and the Democrats. I'll give it to them, Christina. They're dead on messaging. The Democrats.
Yeah, because they lie.
They lie, but they got the media on their hand. They got the movies, you got television, you got big business, you got social. Everyone can message on this. It's tough for Republicans to message the right way because we don't own anything. Well,
right.
In other words, we don't control anything.
We don't control the media. We don't control education. We don't control government. We don't control businesses and corporations. We don't control banking. How on earth did we abdicate every segment of society? It's because Americans were minding their own business. That's why.
Yeah. Special shout out to Olivia, our friend Olivia Bernard sent me a message.
I saw a text come in.
I'm going to read her
Olivia.
text. Sending love from Texas. Wish I could have made it. Love you both. Preach play for protection and safety each day. Stay warm. Safe travels. And she will be watching.
Thank you, Olivia.
Olivia, thank you so much for your kind words. And if Emma Mitchum is watching right now, I'll do my
biggest shout out to Emma
little
Mitchum.
shout out to Emma Mitchum if she's not watching.
And if you're not following her on social media, you are missing out.
great.
Follow Emma Mitchum. She makes the best videos.
She does. I actually, every time I get one, I send it to whoever it needs to go to and say, hey, this is what
It's so
you
good.
make.
Yeah.
But, I think that's why we're going to see such a huge turnout tonight, is because if you can see how angry I get and in a matter of seconds of talking about this stuff, the American people are angry. They've been angry for 3 years. And I think this is the first time that they can get out of their house and go somewhere and vote.
And it matters.
And it matters. It matters. Big deal. And then, you know what? A week from today, I mean, not really a week from today, but, next weekend, or I should say this, on the 23rd, not too long from
Do it again
now,
in New Hampshire.
going to do it again. And that's going to give you another indication of how mad America is and how much they want to change. And it's very, very interesting how the American media, and this is where we can talk about our friends over at the Alphabet channels, they spend more time trying to stop President Trump and cover all the trials and all the allegations of all this mischievous activities than they do on the problems in America.
Right.
Like
the problems in America help them, so they don't want to solve. They don't want to solve the problem because they want to constantly be using the problem as their carrot to get the American people to follow them. It's all a lie.
But it's just interesting how they just spend so much time. I mean, I literally watch a lot of the other channels.
I know you actually consume it. I know you do.
I have to take a deep breath. And there's a lot of people. There's a lot of personalities on those networks that, quite honestly, are friends of mine.
Yeah.
And I have no problem with them. I really don't. They're good people. I know who they are. But I don't like some of the messaging. Okay, we're going to toss it over to Whiskey River, where Vanessa Broussard is there. We'll catch in on some of the action.
Side of Des Moines. Des Moines is where President Trump will be this evening for his watch party, where you're at in the War Room. But right now we're waiting on Donald Trump Jr. and Kimberly Guilfoyle at Whiskey River, right next door in the Event Center, also owned by Whiskey River. And this is where they'll speak to some of these voters who will be out tonight for this caucus event. It was supposed to start at 2 o'clock local time, but we're still waiting 34 minutes after the hour, and the people here are they're taking their seats, and they're just waiting for some enthusiasm ahead of tonight and hear what Don Jr. and Kimberly have to say. What I've seen a lot here today are college-aged students. They're coming from all over. Even they've brought friends with them from different states, and it's good to see a lot of these college-age students. One came up and introduced himself, says he's a fan of Right Side Broadcasting Network. He's actually from the Dallas area, and he's trying to get the college kids in the Dallas area more involved in the conservative movement. So seeing those college students here, that age group, and hearing that they are having boots on the ground all over the country, trying to get that generation more involved. That's great to see. Also great to see them here in Iowa as well as we get ready for this caucus tonight. Another reminder, I'll keep saying it over and over again, get there early tonight. The roads are slick, but that's okay. I know a lot of the people in Iowa are used to this kind of weather, but you don't want to be late, so don't get there at 7:10 or 7:15. Get there on time. 6:30 is your target time to get to your designated location, and make sure that you put your caucus vote to use. As I talked to so many different people during the lunch hour and into the 2 o'clock hour, just meeting people from all over Iowa. They're coming here to see Don Jr. and Kimberly, and then they're going back to their location to caucus. Some of them driving, just one county away. Some of them driving 2 or 3 counties away. So they have a busy day, but they're excited. They're hopeful. They're enthusiastic. They are ready to put their vote to use tonight. They've been waiting for 3 years, and they said we can't have another 4 years of this administration. They're worried about our country. They're worried about the country for generations to come, for their kids, for their grandkids, and they say that we just got to save not only Iowa, but also America. And they say that President Trump was a friend to Iowa, that he helped Iowa a lot during his term, creating 22,000 new jobs. He helped the farmers, a friend of the farmers. He kicked off his Farmers for Trump initiative here in Iowa. 120 farmers in Iowa have endorsed him for president. So the farmers here in Iowa love him. They're ready to caucus for him tonight. So we'll see how it plays out. I mentioned this earlier. Looking at the latest poll numbers, there is an 89% chance that President Trump will win by 20 points or more tonight. So we'll see how that plays out. It could be a historic win here in Iowa, the first in the nation. New Hampshire, you're on deck. You're up next as we get ready for your primary, first in the nation primary. So we'll have full coverage of that starting tomorrow with Matthew Alvarez. So make sure you're following along with Right Side Broadcasting Network, because we've been in Iowa a lot lately, but as soon as tonight ends and those results come in, we're turning our focus to New Hampshire, and we already have a crew there on the ground ready to bring you exclusive content and coverage from that primary. So talking to these people here today, you can see they're still waiting, but their concern is a concern we hear all the time. The concern that you have, the concern that I have, the economy, the border. We are not in a border state, but they're concerned about immigration, the illegal immigrants who are coming across the border. 8 million illegal immigrants since Biden took office. Some on the most wanted terror watch list have crossed over. So it makes you wonder who is in our country. We just don't know. And if you had another 4 years of a Biden administration, our country can't handle that. So Americans are scared. They're concerned. They're worried. They want to shut down the border, come up with a better vetting system to allow people who really want to come here and be law-abiding citizens and work hard to come in the legal way instead of letting all of these people come in the illegal way, and we have no way to know who they are or where they come from. Okay. The music just stopped, so that's giving me an indication that this program may be starting soon. So letting you know what's going to happen here. When Kimberly and Don Jr. come out, we'll take them live, and then we'll wrap things up. Kimberly's supposed to be stopping by a little after the program, so we'll see if that happens. Everything's up in the air now, but we're waiting for them, and a good indicator is that they should be out any second now because the music has paused. I would say about 200 people here in this small venue in Ankeny, Iowa, as we get ready for Don Jr. and Kimberly. And again, looking at the polls, the former president, sitting really good, really nice, where he wants to be at a historic level. However, he has said it over and over again on the campaign trail that don't get comfortable. Don't look at the weather and say, oh, I'm going to sit at home tonight. I'm going to relax tonight. I'm going to watch a movie. Donald Trump has this in a bag. Don't get complacent. Still go out there. Still go out and fight. Think about our country right now, how bad of shape it's in, how bad it could be with another 4 years of the Biden administration. And so we need you to really go out and vote. Okay, that'll do it for me here. And we'll come back as soon as this program begins. I'm Vanessa Broussard, live in Iowa.
All right, Vanessa, thanks for that preview, what people can expect a little bit later at Whiskey River. We just got word that Governor Doug Burgum will join us here in a few minutes. Now, he was just announced last night at the rally in Indianola that he endorsed President Trump.
Yep. I mean, President Trump is racking up the endorsements for all the obvious reasons. Iowa is no exception. I saw the Attorney General here as well in support of President Trump earlier in the war room. So I think President Trump's got some great support from key leaders here in the state of Iowa. And I think that will just become more and more prevalent and apparent as the night goes on.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting how I'm waiting for, and this is a great conversation before Doug gets in here, why we haven't seen official endorsements from other Republicans.
Yeah.
At this point. We're not sitting October of 2023.
Right.
We're caucus.
Like, we're in the primaries.
Right.
Like, primaries.
So what additional you need to be able to make that decision?
It is surprising to me when I see new endorsements come out. I'm like, why are they just coming out now?
Well, here's what's interesting. Let's name a name, because I saw an article the other day. Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz, conservative, Texan, pretty. I wouldn't say necessarily a firebrand, but he goes to all of the firebrand conferences in the Republican Party. But I know. But what is he waiting for? Like, what additional information does he need to?
He's the old guard. That's the problem. His policies are right, but he's the old guard and he's playing the old game.
I just don't get it. And then you got people that were so late to the endorsement with President Trump, and regardless, I'm glad they've made it to the right side on this stuff. But why does it take an overwhelming majority lead in the GOP in order for you to say, okay, I'll go in now?
Yeah.
The policies that policies, but since he's a presumptive leader. That's I don't understand that to me. But maybe we'll see that change after tonight.
Maybe that's the correct direction, and that's the direction of this nation. If you're somewhere in the middle between that and what the Republican Party used to be, you're going to have a real tough time right now, because you have to walk that line and dance the dance of trying to keep your constituents happy, wherein all the constituents want MAGA. They all want America First. They all want Donald Trump policies. But if you're still trying to play the old game, you have to keep the donor class happy, and you have to try to continue to play that. And it's a really hard position to be in. And so I think as we get closer to President Trump cinching the nomination and eventually the general election, that window of wiggle room is closing. It's getting really, really small. And I think it's not going to be before long, whenever President Trump finally cinches that nomination, that everyone's outed. You're either on his side or you're not. You're either America First or you're not. You're either for MAGA or not. You're either for Americans or you're not. And it's becoming unavoidable.
You know, it's interesting as we turn our attention to New Hampshire here on the 23rd, or tomorrow, essentially. Governor Chris Sununu, which is a Republican, Republican. But New Hampshire is a very different state. Mm-hmm. They won't have a MAGA-based governor there. I don't think that's possible to elect them. I think that the makeup of that state won't produce that. So
Okay.
we have what we have. That's just based upon when I was there at a rally. I will say the people in New Hampshire are the loudest,
They're the rowdiest people. Yes.
in all of the land. So I'll give props to New Hampshire. But with that said, I do like what Governor Sununu said a couple days ago. He said, if in fact President Trump is the nominee for the Republican Party, he's got his support, which I think is great because that's more than what has Ted Cruz said that?
Yeah.
Think about it. I mean, think about that for a second.
That's really
has
silly.
Ted Cruz said that? Has some of these other America First, tough, strong man type, people in Congress and Senate, have they said that yet? But yet you have Sununu has already said it. He's already said, look, I'll back President Trump in the general election, no problem. That's awesome.
I think Brian Kemp even said that.
Of course. Yeah, I think Brian Kemp said that too.
Yeah.
Which is great, but there's so many others.
Well, my point is Brian Kemp is not a Trump fan.
No, but let me tell you, but I think what Brian Kemp did so brilliantly in the election is he never attacked Trump.
He couldn't.
Nobody never attacked Trump. So therefore, if you are a MAGA supporter, you never saw your governor or your governor that wants to be reelected, you never saw him attack Trump. Okay, he may not agree with his policies, but he never attacked Trump. Therefore, I don't think he lost. Kemp didn't lose the base. If Kemp would have attacked Trump consistently, I think you would have saw the base go, well, who else is running for governor?
Yeah.
He played it very, very safe.
He played it very safe, and I think what he avoided in doing that was the base raising up another primary candidate.
Okay.
I mean, Purdue was kind of like, oh, we need somebody, let's throw him in there, right? The base never truly got behind Purdue.
Correct.
I think you're right in that if Brian Kemp had truly attacked Donald Trump, the base would have found somebody.
The base would have found
They would have found somebody.
But but he's a smart politician, Kemp. I mean, he did what he had to do to keep everyone
That's
kind
true.
of. There's a game to this, as you know,
There is, and he's avoiding what constituents often. The problem that constituents often run into is, I don't like Kemp, but I like him. I like him more than the other guy, and so it's two bad choices, and he's the less bad of the two. When in reality, he's doing the most harm to conservatives because he's not truly doing what conservatives want. He's just doing less harm, than the Democrats.
No, you're right. So it is a game, and it's funny. The politics within politics is almost some of the most interesting storylines that play out. It's not always, Democrat versus Republican. Is very much sometimes Republican versus Republican. And
that is the battle this year.
That is the battle. And what's really interesting
year.
is there's a couple guys that I was talking about, this little comedy duo that's out there on Instagram, and they kind of spoof. They play jokes on Trump supporters. It's all lighthearted, but we were talking last night, and I said, look, if you've ever watched anything that we do here, or myself, or on Instagram or whatever, I spend more time attacking Republicans that aren't in step with the America First movement. Now, a lot of people say, well, then you're doing something that I'm not going to even mention this person's name. I think we do need to start attacking the policies that the Democrats are trying to enforce on us. I think that's what we should do all the time. But I also think we should be trying to root out Republicans within our party that for the longest time have not been very supportive to the America First movement.
No, I think that is the biggest problem because we have three effectively groups of people. You've got Democrats, you've got the old guard Republicans, and then you've got the MAGA Republicans. And the MAGA Republicans are trying to purge the party to get it back to getting America back on track, onto what this nation is supposed to be, what we were designed to be. And that's fallen away because of Democrats and Republicans. So weeding out the bad Republicans is essential. And this is what's so important, particularly as it pertains to the election. Democrats did not have enough votes in Democrat parts of the country to steal 2020. They had to steal 2020 in Republican areas of the country. So for example, Philadelphia had about I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was about 700,000 voters in Philadelphia. Well, Donald Trump had a margin of victory of about 1 million votes. So even if they gave 100% of the whole population of Philadelphia, again, it would not have been enough to beat what Donald Trump was doing. They had to cheat in the redder, more conservative areas and turn them less red. They stayed red, but they had to be less red so that overall, as a state, they could make up for what they lacked in these blue communities. So it's so important that we clean out the corruption at the state level, at the federal level, and at these county levels of Republicans, because it is, whether they're corrupt Republicans, whether they're naive, whether they just don't really know what they're doing, it's Republicans that are causing the problem. The good news is, and people often get frustrated with this and go, oh, well, all those laws I can do. No, it's good news. It's good news that Republicans are the problem because we can fix it. If Democrats just controlled everything and we didn't have any ability to root out bad Democrats, we'd be in a lot worse shape than we are right now. But because we have the ability to root out bad Republicans, we need to do it. So get involved at your local county levels. Get involved in your precinct. Get involved. Be a part of the election. If you don't even know where to start, you can become an election worker. You can work at your county. You can receive training to become an election judge, an arbiter. If you don't know where to look, go to causeofamerica.org. That's CAUSE, causeofamerica.org. And just put in your zip code, put in your county, and they'll send you a list of America First grassroots efforts in your county, in your precinct, where you can get involved and help be part of the solution. But it's really, really important that Americans are part of the solution.
That's a great segment. Because it is crucial that we change that. And so, we can fight the Democrats on policies, but we also need to make sure we push back.
Our biggest battle is against Republicans.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of the reasons why we had such a House battle on the Speaker, and then, of course, we've got people who didn't think an impeachment was justified on Joe Biden. I mean, think about that for a second.
That is insane. That is cowardice. That is cowardice.
I'm not going to name names here, but there were a lot of America First people that were against the impeachment of Joe Biden. Even though you've got the SARS reports, you've got the
He's taking money from adversaries. He's selling access to his position.
Yeah. All right.
So.
We'll get we'll get Doug Burgum has walked in the room. I think he's going to do a hit with somebody else real quick. We'll get him over here. But in the meantime, we want you to do a hit with our friends over at the Birch Gold Group. You can simply text the words Trump to 989898. We've talked about the economy. We don't know exactly what will happen after this election, even building up to the election, to be honest with you. So what you can do is secure your income and your savings is to invest in gold, silver, precious metals. Our friends over the Birch Gold Group can help you do just that. Text the words Trump to 989898 for free information kit. Now, he's over there talking to a couple other media outlets. We'll see if we can't get him over here. Looking at a quick check of the time. We're scheduled to end this broadcast at around 3 o'clock, and I'm going to be set on about that time because we've got to prepare for tonight going live for free full coverage on the caucus. So we will make sure that we're engaged in that. And if you missed any of this broadcast, we've talked about a lot of different subjects. We got on some hot takes here in the last couple of hours, so I definitely encourage you to go back and review some of that. Looking at program moving ahead, I mean, we've got some, get the list out. We got some amazing things in terms of coverage.
Tonight's going to be a good night. I'm looking forward to this. I think we're going to have some really good coverage. I think Vanessa's going to have great coverage from the watch party tonight downstairs. You'll be getting to see all the who's who are attending the party to support President Trump in this, and everybody getting excited about results. And then Brian and I will be here to kind of break stuff down, delve into the issues a little bit more. We can't really do that in a party type atmosphere. But what do you have on the schedule for tonight?
Looking at ahead, we're in Atkinson, New Hampshire tomorrow, and that go to Portsmouth. Then we go on to Concord, Manchester. We've got several days coming on in New Hampshire as we kind of shift everything there for that. Also, remind everybody to go check out our newsletter. Go to rspnetwork.com/newsletter, rspnetwork.com/newsletter for that. Sign up. It's absolutely free. You'll get exclusives. There is a little benefit to doing this. Exclusives on articles and products that we have. Also, don't forget, you can go to the website. You can also donate as well, which is great.
And I just want to remind our viewers, for those of you that are here in Iowa, if you don't know where your caucus is for tonight, you can go to ia.donaldjtrump.com and figure out where you go for your caucus. It'll give you all the Iowa information. Make sure you arrive by 6:30. The caucus starts at 7, but you want to make sure that you get inside and you get your seat and you're able to participate. So please arrive early. And I look forward to seeing the results of Iowa. But please, 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 if you support Donald Trump, please turn out in Iowa. Come out tonight. I know it's cold, but he wants a good showing of the American support, and hopefully he can beat some records tonight.
Yeah, hope so. He can do that. I anticipate some of that happening. I anticipate a high turnout. Despite having limited people in the field, I do think the supporters for President Trump will come out. So I do expect that as well. So lots to unpack, lots to unfold as we make our way into this election season. And it all starts tonight. Like I said before, you end the 2020 election, and then you move forward with literally all of the public Senate hearings that we covered in regards to the outcome of the election. I remember the first one was Doug Mastriano in Pennsylvania. That was the first one that we covered, the public hearing about 2020, and then it just went from there. And we found ourselves.
We haven't stopped.
And we have not stopped. And of course, I was with President Trump for 39 rallies since then. I've been with Trump in the motorcade. We went to jail. We went to the courthouse. We went to all of this. And of course, it all builds up to tonight, 7 o'clock here in Iowa. And that is the first time we're going to be able to really take a pulse on who should be the front runner for the GOP primary.
I think that's right. I think we all know who we expect it to be. The question is just by how big of a margin, and then who comes in second. I mean, I think people are wondering, where does Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis fall on all of this? It doesn't really matter, but it'll just be kind of fun to see how that plays out.
Yeah, it will be fun to see how they play that out. As a reminder, also follow us on social media at Brian Glenn TV, on Twitter, on Instagram. I try to react. The internet here on my phone's a little sketchy right now, so I hadn't been able to respond to some messages. You can also follow me on Truth Social at Brian, BRIAN, and of course follow Right Side across the board as well.
Yep, you can follow me on Instagram and X at Christina_Bob or Truth at Christina Bob. And you can find Stealing Your Vote, The Inside Story, the 2020 election, what it means for 2024 on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, wherever books are sold.
Yeah, and also Vanessa Broussard will have to deploy back here to the Trump watch party.
She's got to hustle.
She's got to hustle back here, get set up. We're about to cut from here at 3 o'clock so we can get set up for tonight. So we appreciate everyone tuning in tonight. And set your alarms and set your notifications on your phone to tune back in at about 6 p.m. Central as we'll kick it off here from the Trump War Room.
Yep.
And there's probably going to be a few more media people sitting next to us doing all this. We've got some great outlets across from us. Well, I don't know who those guys are, but they have been going non-stop.
And they started before we got here.
And they started before we did. And I think it's great. And shout out to them and for what they're doing. They're going wall-to-wall coverage, which I think that we all pretty much
the way to go on
way to
like
do
this.
it this time. This is game time, and so this is exactly what we want to do, and that's why we're here for you on this very cold. Which, by the way, if you guys are wondering, just what the temperature
I'm
is
wondering,
outside,
because I'm wondering what it's going to be like going to the car.
it's 2 degrees out. It's 2 degrees out.
Oh, that's better
cloudy.
than it was.
2 degrees with a wind chill of negative 16. So it's not all that bad right now. It could be worse. And also, if you have travel plans, if you, for whatever reason, if you flew into Iowa, you're flying out, please check your airlines because we have had massive travel delays across the board on all of this.
Today should be good, though, because there's no snow today.
I think the problem for me was getting back to D.C. tomorrow. I think they've gotten expected some either snow
but that's because
tonight.
There's bad weather in D.C.
Yeah, So, but a lot of people traveled in. We got a lot of surrogates here. We got Doug Burgum over there. We've got Mike Collins. We've got a lot of people that have been that have flown in for this. Matt Gaetz, Jim Jordan, Carrie Lake, Marjorie. So everyone's flown in for this, and let's just hope that our Republicans can get back to Congress as session starts Tuesday night. First votes Tuesday night, so at 5 p.m. So you got to make sure they get back to vote because we do not want the Democrats to have the majority
they
on
gotta
that
get back.
because we know exactly what will happen. 2:59, 1 minute top of the hour. As a reminder, go download our app on our Google, your Apple Play Store, your App Station. Go follow us anywhere you can go. That's almost one of the best ways to stay in touch with us.
Yep, absolutely.
There you go. All right.
Should be a good night.
All right, we'll see you back here. We're going to wrap it up here from the War Room. We'll see you back here tonight at 6 p.m. Central, right here, kicking off coverage for 2024 Iowa Caucus live from Des Moines until later on tonight. Goodbye and God bless.
Parents and grandparents, the 2024 Kids Guide to President Trump is here, and it's free. As a bonus, your child gets a free issue of Everbright Kids Magazine and Activity Book, and a free video lesson. Order now at freetrumpbook.com. That's freetrumpbook.com.
Right Side Broadcasting is known for panning the crowds, showing the packed arenas, and allowing you to see the truth. They've covered hundreds of rallies, briefings, marches, CPAC, and the historic overturning of Roe v. Wade. Right Side Broadcasting was created in 2015 by our founder, Joe Seals, creating a unique broadcasting experience that allows you to make your own decision rather than force-feeding you an agenda. We don't cut or edit people's words or twist them to fit a particular point of view. We allow our correspondents to be open about their opinions while maintaining journalistic integrity. Your donations and support allow us to continue to be the gold standard in live, unedited event coverage. Your monthly or one-time contributions on our website are crucial in our fight for the truth. Thank you for all of your generous support.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and I'm here to tell you about my new product from MyPillow, towels that actually work. Watch this absorbency test. Here's another towel that we randomly went out and bought. Here's one of my towels with the nice design. I don't know if you can see this, but you could line a swimming pool with this. I mean, this is crazy. Get rid of it. Towels that actually work. What a concept. I'm interrupting this commercial to let you know you can get our 6-piece My Towels, regular $69.98, now only $29.98. Or you can save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels, made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Also, we have bath sheets, bath towels, washcloths, hand towels, and so much more. And the best part, with your promo code, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all My Towels. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
This is a call to all my fellow Americans to stand up, fired up, and will not let up. To put your foot down and will never lay down, Americans. You're the ones this country needs. To stand up for what you believe in. To wear your pride on your sleeve. This is a call to the ones who put family above fortune and always have their neighbors six. At Pure Talk, we're a wireless company that champions American values. We'll give you a voice, along with unlimited talk, text, and data for only $20 a month. That's less than a burger and fries these days. All on the most dependable 5G network. So stand with us, a proud American company that stands up for and gives back to the people who built this country. People who stand for our flag. People who believe in working hard, not hardly working. So join your fellow Americans and call Pure Talk to get 50% off your first month. This is your calling. It's time to answer.
What's up, guys? My name is Jaden Hurd, and I have a Christian show called Let It Be Heard, where we analyze culture and current events from a biblical perspective. I highly recommend you guys check us out. We now have episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And basically, what happens is we react to videos, we have talking points, we have on guests, and it's very exciting. Come check us out on Rumble on the RSBN channel. God bless you guys.